using the code OneMic. Click on the link pinned in the comments and feel free to share and type downloaded in the comment section if you have downloaded this. We're giving you a free $30 for the first $100 you send. That is a 30% instant return. That is higher than Buroti Maruta. We're streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. And we'll shortly be going live on YouTube. So call all your YouTube friends. Please remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages at The OneMic Show. And then follow us on Instagram at OneMic Show. We are also taking live calls tonight at 202-683-4570 and press *5 to speak. So save that number. The number again is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. So save that number. Now later tonight, we'll be talking about the Gachagua impeachment drama. Will this impeachment open a can of worms that might cost President Ruto his presidency? We'll be asking if time has come for the diaspora to be part of public participation in Kenya's political discourse. Feel free to start dropping comments below and tell us what you think and where you're tuned in from. Na bila kusahau, tunapokea mziki toka DJ wetu Machachari, mleta habari DJ Moshfire, na tunadunda kule viwanjani na Mika Och, jezi yake nambari 7 mgongoni, akituletea habari za michezo. Na moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Karibuni tena.
Now, let's talk politics.
Now this hour we'll be talking about Morara Kebaso's attack and the state of political violence in Kenya. We'll also be looking ahead towards the future of Kenya's volatile political landscape, and not forgetting that we'll be discussing the drama around the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Please drop a comment below and tell us where you're tuned in from and tell us what you're thinking tonight. I want to remind the listeners that tonight the show is brought to you courtesy of Money Transfer app Lemfi. Now the OneMic Show is offering $30 for the first $100 sent on your first transaction using the code OneMic. So you download the app. When they ask you for the referral code, you enter OneMic, ONEMIC. But if you use the link on the Facebook, we're gonna post the link also on the YouTube video. Click on the link that's pinned in the comments and feel free to share it with your friends and download it and type the word download. Type the word download once you've downloaded it. Now, so that's what's going to be happening tonight. We're going to be talking about all these politics. And I want to remind all the listeners that I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. And again, it's Friday, the 4th of October, and we're streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. Please remember to follow the OneMic Show on all our social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And on panel with me tonight is Mr. OneMic Kamakawa. Our sports anchor Mika Och is in the building. Our resident DJ Moshfire is on the decks. And also not forgetting that our super producer is none other than Mubelwa Bandio. And not forgetting we have our loyal fans here who already tuned in. I can see Sleod War was the first to comment. She's already tuned in. I can see Washeke, Texas. Texas is always representing in the building. Specifically Dallas. I know kuna nuances. Mara sijui ni Irving, Mara sijui ni Plano, Mara sijui ni Frisco. But wote wa the Dallas metropolitan area tunawashukuru sana. You always heavily represent on the OneMic Show. And then I can see Indefatigable Wanjeri all the way from Boston, Massachusetts. She's saying, Kufa dereva, Kufa makanga, Kufa mala. I can't even finish the word that she said, but I think it's gonna be a hard show tonight. And then Slena Mwambia Wanjeri umeingia na fujo sana, surely. And then I can see like a couple of other people are tuned in already. I can see Akinya Doyo also from Texas, on the other side of Texas in Houston. Karibu sana. I can see Nora Ward tuned in. Thank you so much. Remember, the show tonight is brought to you courtesy of money sending app Lemfi. The OneMic Show is offering exactly $30 for the first $100 sent. That's an instant 30% return. Use the code OneMic. You can use the link on that's currently on Facebook. Use the code OneMic, ONEMIC, and you will get your $30 back. That's an instant 30% return. That is much higher than the return on a Foroti Maguta. But we're going to get started right away because we have so much to cover tonight. And apologies to the people we had already told we were supposed to have Morara in studio, but of course you know what happened today. He was attacked, so he's somewhere recovering and for his own safety. But to get us started, we know that political temperatures have been rising in Kenya since the Gen Z uprising. Earlier today, Civic, Educator, and INJECT party leader Morara Kebaso was brutally attacked and rushed to the hospital. Morara was recently on the show expressing fears for his life, and tonight's attacks highlight the dangerous political landscape back home. Tensions have been rising around the possible impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, with public participation hearings heating up as Kenya's political future seems more uncertain than ever. We'll be diving deep onto these issues, and I'm going to be starting with Mika, but we're going to be diving deep on these issues tonight, and we want to hear your thoughts in the comment section and on our phone lines. Is this a continuation of the revolution that was violently ended in June, or are we in something different altogether? I'm gonna get started. I don't know if Mika is already ready. Mika, can you hear us? Okay, sawa. Mika, karibu sana. Mika, I want you to get us started tonight because you are the first, like your comment was the first one I saw when I woke up this morning, like before I knew anything that was going on in Bomas, and ukatuambia wamemvamia Morara. So maybe to get us started and telling us about your week, maybe just recap the events of what led to the hospitalization of Morara. What is it that exactly happened today? To those Kenyans out here in the diaspora, maybe who are living under a rock, what happened this morning? Mika, twende kazi.
Thank you, Ali, and thank you everybody for joining us today. And today, leo tuna sponsor, tukiwaambia tunataka sponsor. Leo tumelipiwa show imelipiwa na Lemfire, and Lemfire here telling us that we'll give you $30 for every $100 that you download and send. Mimi nishakula 30 yangu hata, so nimetuma 100 nikapata 130.
Okay.
Unanio maths nimekuja.
Hiyo math imekubali.
Hiyo si girl math ama boy math ama nini. Hiyo ni Lemfire math. Na inaingiana inakubali. Anyway, so the other thing, I did know that today there was public participation that was going to be happening, and I'm usually an early riser when I go to the gym. So one of my thoughts last night was like, when I'll be working out, I'll be listening into the public participation that was going to be aired on Citizen TV and just follow it and hear what it is, because I'm one of those people who believes I don't see the value of impeaching Gachagua if you're leaving Ruto. I believe they both, kufa dereva, kufa makanga, they both need to go together. Gachagua leaving will not improve anything, will not stop Adani, will not stop bills that are affecting people, will not stop anything. In fact, Gachagua leaving makes the country worse. What it does is that it now solidifies that marriage between ODM and Kenya Kwanza, and just give them that so much strong majority in parliament, and they control both houses and they can do whatever they want with impunity. Now, as I was watching, the first thing I saw was Morara being grabbed, and I was like, why are they grabbing this guy? And he was being grabbed, and then he was being roughed up. Then I was like, wait, I know that guy. The guy who picked up there was a lady who picked up a chair the first time and it didn't go. Then the second guy who threw the chair, I was like, I know this guy. I've seen him in so many goon situations before. And guess what? I heard the voice of the handler, who's TJ Kajwang, and I was like, why are TJ Kajwang's people chasing Morara away? And then I came to realize it's the whole politics thing. The thing is, I don't know what they expected from Bomas. I don't know what they expected from this public participation. I don't know if they expected that the mood of the country is going to be, yes, impeach Gachagua, we don't like Gachagua. But they were surprised that the mood of the country was more of like, we want both of you gone, we don't want anybody. And they just felt that, and I figured that they just felt that Morara was going to arouse that mood and turn Bomas into a hostile environment for them. And at that particular point, police cannot mishandle him. They can't use police. Who the guys don't want to look like it's the government that is doing it. So who will be the next best person to do hooliganism at that point? It has to be the people who entered this marriage recently, and one of you will have to decide to be the sacrifice and bring the goods. And I guess who was it? It was TV's Kajong guys who were doing it. And then later on, when I went back, I saw, I went to X and started looking up. I saw that even Morara, just Morara, accessing Bomas was a problem. They were not letting him get to Bomas. They were not letting him into the public participation. And there are guys who came in and actually forcefully brought him in because he is a leader. He has a political party. He has every right to be involved in public participation. So it's like it was hell-bent that there were some names that were not supposed to be there. I think if guys like Boni went, Hanifa, Morara, I think the guys who were just told not to go there. Now, what hurt me the most was that you could have denied him a chance to speak. But risking his life, for what? For a few pennies that you've been given just because you want to push you've been told by somebody because that person wants to push a political agenda. This goes back to the careless regard that they have on life in Kenya. It just shows you that the people who died during the Gen Z demonstration, the government doesn't really care about, doesn't give a fuck, and they're going to kill more people. I'm sorry I used that word over there, Pauline. But it's a really sad state of where we are in the country. You go and hide your heads in the sand, make decisions, bring them out in public, they backfire. You think violence is the only way that is going to sort out this solution. And I'm really glad that the mood of the country today was spoken. And Ali, you asked something. Is this still the Gen Z protests? I think it's a Gen Z protest, but in Gen Z in a term that it's not just going to be Gen Z, the young Gen Z, it's going to be Gen Z in terms of generation sorting. Everybody's tired. Everybody's tired, and everybody's really tired of the politics that is happening while they're trying to sneak in things. The country is being sold to the highest bidder, but they're busy politicking, trying to solidify their positions so they can continue looting the country as much as they can. So, to me, they cannot turn around and say that these were just random people who are at Bomas who didn't want Morara there. When Morara came in, he got a very, he was welcomed with a lot of applause. People were happy to see him. They even created a space for him to sit. So for them to bundle him up and start throwing things at him and hurting him, even if you don't agree with what he says, I don't see a reason on why you would take a chair and throw it, especially that woman who took that chair the first time and threw it for her. You're a mother. How would you feel if it was your child who was being beaten by a chair like that? Back to you.
All right, asante sana Mika. You know, what a powerful introduction to the show by Mika. And we are in a very delicate situation in Kenya right now, and we are just trying to figure out where we are going, where we are heading, and what exactly is gonna happen. I've seen a picture of that woman being shared around by people. I mean, of course, the people who are inside there that were saying she's one of the people who started it. Of course, we have no way of verifying. Mika was watching it live, and this allegedly were paid goons. It's not the first time that we're seeing paid goons in Kenyan politics. I'm gonna let Omosh salimie wasikilizaji na watazamaji, and maybe Omosh, as you're getting started, as you're warming up today, from your own opinion and your own position, do you think that this attack was spontaneous, isolated, random, or is it part of a broader intimidation tactic? DJ Omosh Fire, karibu sana.
Asanteni. Mwanisikia? I think you guys can hear me because I can hear myself a little bit, but maybe okay, sour. Anyway, Ali, you ask a very interesting question because politics in Kenya is politics. So everything that happens or everything that is done that is politically motivated has an end goal that is normally very how would I say it, anti-mwananchi, for lack of a better word, at least lately. And when I say lately, this has been at least I think we can say safely maybe 20 years.
Yeah.
That we have been tricked, moved left, moved right, thrown under a bus, run over by a tire, I don't know, thrown off a cliff, somebody brings you back and serves you for tea. Basically, every single time when there's something that happens, it's like this happens to remove you from this other thing so that it distracts you from this other one. But at the end of the day, kuna mtu anakupea service ya rasa bila Vaseline.
Wow. Okay.
Period. Now, with what happened at Bomas, there may have been things in there that happened sporadically. However, with the history of what we know, the history of what we have, and how things have always transpired, these things are always planned because folks just go in adharani, behaving funnily, behaving in a certain manner. How come those particular people were not
apprehended? Yeah.
And
they were not stopped.
The last time when people at Bomas and misbehaved, those chaps were curtailed within 6.8 seconds, and these are people who are serving legislators.
Absolutely.
How long did that thing didn't last? Remember?
Yeah, the last one.
The last one when chairs were thrown that we saw.
Yeah.
Which was elections. Sindio? Before things are being announced.
Yeah.
So again, we all know that the security apparatus and Kenya's security apparatus is actually up there in the world.
Top notch.
It's up there in the world. So there's nothing that happens that these guys don't know about or they're not the ones pushing.
Wow.
So if you look at the evidence and the things that we have in front of us, you have to start thinking foul play. Now, if you wear the hat on the other side and you say, okay, maybe mini mtu wa Kibra ama mini mse wa TJ, mini mse wa nini, maybe inaweza sema tucheze tu chini, let's wait and see how things are going. But I think really we're past that. Those days are gone.
Those days are gone.
We need answers now. We need information now. And then the question then becomes, the next time that this happens, if it does happen next time, because you see this could also be a two-prong, where it's basically, okay, let's go, let this thing happen, tuende, we disrupt, then now we can come up and say, you know what, this public participation is not publicly participating, meaning we will do it vile sisi tunataka, and we go in, we put in an amendment, and we say public participation, onge, hakuna, otire, gone, zero. And so we will never do it again because the last time when we gave you guys an opportunity, you guys squandered it.
No, but then, Omosh,
go ahead.
There's a reason I will not disagree with that because public participation is something that's actually enshrouded in the Constitution of Kenya. There has to be public certification on some things that need to happen. That is why you see the courts, every time Umtata goes to court, he wins.
Correct.
Because there's no guarantee of public participation what they're doing. So for this, they have to be public participation. This one was just, and again, I see. I think the intelligence of the country logs in onto Facebook and Instagram and then says the mood of the country is like this. Because I don't understand how these people's intelligence would have told them that this impeachment idea was a good idea in all way. Because we are seeing also opposition of it is coming in their strongholds.
Now,
in their strongholds, where they're home, they're getting opposition to this impeachment. People are like, we don't want this. We want both of you to go if it's going. People are tired with this government. It's simple as that. And then now, in terms of the violence, how it was, I will tell you clearly. Bomas was live. It was vibes. It was vibes. People are talking. Those who want, those who don't want. People were talking, were saying what they were saying. It was vibes. There was no violent thing in anything. But the moment Morara came in, there was just a group of people who started castigating him, and then in a few minutes they were throwing chairs at him and hurting him. So it was something like it was planned. Like this guy was not supposed to be here. It seems like there were goons who were paid and they were told to Kiona Watu Fulani,
Yes.
make sure you cause violence. It's actually the cops who saved that boy's life.
Yes, and you know the sad thing is we've seen this pattern before. So in as much as we want to look at both sides and say that it might have been spontaneous, but we've seen this this kind of Men in Black situation before during back in the day, during you know, like ODM nominations, and also the day when I think Azimio was breaking up. There was some Men in Black that was sent when Kalonzo was giving a speech. So I hope, you know, like the police get to the bottom of this, or the investigation, or just the mob, the people, the public who are investigating get to the bottom of this, because I've seen pictures of people who are doing this. Figure out if this was sponsored by politicians and have them sanctioned.
Ali, how does he figure out? The politician who was saying in Nairobi,
Yes.
in Nairobi loudly,
Yes.
ilikuwa TJ.
It was TJ Kajwang, yeah.
Like we could see, it was TJ who was inciting his folks.
He was actually saying hii ndio tamu ya Nairobi.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and it is it's a very sad situation.
And the lady too. Remember, at first she said piga, then she realized.
remembered,
she
yeah.
realized what she was saying. Then she's
Yes.
like, "Oh, amwezi pigana."
Yeah. And then they
too
mentioned
late.
Morara. I think they choreographed it in such a way they
And
wanted to make
she
people
called his
think.
name out. Yes.
They wanted people to think that it's Morara's people who came in and caused the chaos. I think that was the plan, but this worked in the total opposite way. I can see a lot of people are already tuned in, and comments are coming in left, right, and center on both YouTube and on Facebook. I'm going to start with Facebook. Brian Nyamu, Kamaudiki, karibuni sana. Washeke says the politicians misread the mood and made a big miscalculation. Compare how the powers that be welcome Morara and how the red carpet rolled out for and how the red carpet rolled out for Kadhamwel. And then I want to welcome also Janet Mukene. I can see Chief Louis is also in the building. Karibu sana. Now Janet says, what are the numbers for the presidential poll at currently? So I don't know whether you're talking about the US elections or the Kenyan elections. Janet, please tell us a little bit more, Apo. And then Chief Louis Apa is saying, we have unearthed her details, included where she lives. She has turned off her phone and possibly turned it off at Asalimiwa. So this is, I think, the lady who threw the first chair, because I saw that picture on Chief Louis' wall. Damaris Kifude, karibu sana to the OneMic Show. And then Janet anasema, yes, tulituma salamu. Slay, karibu sana. Slay says the youth need to stop accepting payments to cause havoc for a few shillings. And Chief Louis anasema, I mean to say, possibly changed it. Tutatafuta namba yeye huoiga hiyo sijui kama ni Kiluya umeandika hapo Louis ama ni nini, na hiyo line nyingine na hapo ndio Gen Z tunawasambazia namba yake mpya. And then Damaris Kifude anasema Johnson is needed. Fafanua hapo tafadhali.
Hiyo ni slow motion alisema wanakunini. Wanakudigiza.
Okay. Oh, style. Wanakudidi.
No Didi.
No Didi. Yeah. So Slay hapa anasema the cops were only there
so wrong
to stop Morara from going in but could not protect him. And then I can see also Chief Louis again here saying hapo Bomas waweke terraces za simiti kama Buhungu Stadium. Inakaa hiyo ndio dawa ya hawa wa Kenya. And then Louis says we have names and social media handles of those that were bribing the goons. Hey, it seems Louis has done some investigation. Wakia Nasle anasema watasalimiwa. We are tired of these dances. Omosh, kuna people on YouTube saying something. What are people on YouTube saying?
Watu hapa YouTube wako mob wase wanatusalimia hapa. Ani amesema habari yenyu, and then she's like, hey, sema ODM bana. Yani basically I guess I was being was it me who was being asked to say ODM, or was it you who was being asked to say ODM? I don't know.
I don't know. It must be one of us.
Yes. And then Iran Dunda, this my boy all the way from Norway. This guy listens to us like all the time. In fact, I don't even know what time it is in Norway now. Maybe it's 8 in the morning. He's like, I think those guys are like 12 hours, right? Or something.
No.
It's
It's
Europe.
Europe.
5
Europe,
hours.
Okay.
My friend.
Because
Greenwich Mean Time.
okay,
my
mimi
guy. Yeah.
sikufanya hizo GMT. So he says very sad, that story of Morara. Those were paid goons, but just made the movement stronger. It spread like bushfire, but we have a thought for him and his quick recovery. Clean house, basically, wishing him well, and clean house. And then Charles Ndolo says Morara spirit will prevail, the power of the majority. Ni hayo tu kutoka watu wangu wa YouTube, lakini tutaendelea kusoma na kusomelea, au sio?
Okay, asante sana Omosha. And I remind the listeners that tonight's show is brought to you courtesy of money transfer app Lemfi. The OneMic Show is offering $30 for the first $100 sent.
At how much?
$30. 30.
Wait, we are giving money?
Yes, we're giving money. You get $30 for the first $100 you send. This has to be in your first transaction. So you send $100, we give you $30, and that is a whole 30% return. That is higher than the
So in
return
essence, you're sending
from
70.
abroad. Yeah. So in essence, you're sending 70. Yeah.
Oh.
In essence, you're sending 70 and you're getting 100 on the other side.
And then your recipient is coolering 100.
Yeah. No, that 30 is coming to you. That 30 is coming back to you. So you have to send 100 to your recipient.
Yes.
And that recipient could also be you. We know you have Safaricom numbers. That recipient could be you, and you get an instant 30% return. That is way higher than Buroti Maguta. You remember last week we did the numbers. Was it last week? Yes.
Yes, it was last week.
We did the numbers. And
Smart investing.
Yes, and we showed how Buroti Maguta doesn't give even sometimes not even 10%. So this one we're giving you 30% instantly. And there's a link on both YouTube and on Facebook. Just click on that link.
Yes. Just click on,
Yes, the code is OneMic, ONEMIC. But when you click on that link, it takes you there direct, and your 30 bob is instant when you send your first $100. Make sure you download, sign up, and collect your money. But now,
inaenda kama 130.
yes, ndo hivyo.
Yes. Well, assumption is that bob, you'll use it that way because it comes as a credit on your account, right? So
your 30 bob, yeah, it comes as a credit, and you can use it now the next time you're sending someone money. Mtu akikuomba pesa ya ati yuko out ameishiwa, ama mtu akikuomba fare, that's enough for fare.
Hiyo 30 bob ni mtungia gas.
30 bob imetosha fare.
Hiyo ni mtungia gas.
Inatosha mtungia gas?
Yes.
Okay, sawa.
Boss,
yeah.
30 bob ina solve kesi ya nisaidie 2K agent.
Sasa kama uko na bibi mdogo pale, baba dogo, unamtumia hiyo $30 na imetosha. But anyway, let's get back to the show. Na tunataka kumkaribisha Unomai kwanza. Adhiambo Daka hapa anasema there is a chair that landed on Morara. Is he okay?
There were several. But there was one that last when that clip, I was like, that thing broke on him.
Yeah, sawa. So now Unomike, like just coming to you, salimie, watazamaji na wasikilizaji. Now this attack, the public perception, what do you think was expected with those who planned the attacks, and what ended up being the public perception after the attacks were executed? Unomike,
wapenzi wachangiaji Morega ndamugeithia haleluya mwana arathimo arakumio
and madhogothanias to you
jagathi wewe. So I think you pointed it out. I think the perception and the intention was to make it look like Morara is the
cause
bad
of
guy.
friction.
Is the cause of friction. And there's an insider, good friend of mine, we've been chatting, and he sent me a message and told me that ODM will never recover from this. That's what he said. This is a guy who has been inside in the interwebs. And
I think mimi najua ni nani.
See huyo.
Yeah.
So the fact that and I was going to disagree with, I think what's his name over here? Somebody had mentioned that Morara made a mistake in mentioning that he was going. It's public participation. It doesn't matter. You go. It doesn't matter.
So then now I have to restrict.
So
hata angeenda bila kusema, even if you would have gone without saying, it clearly shows for Goons to be there, they're expecting something.
There's an agenda.
There's an agenda. So it doesn't, whether he mentioned.
So hiyo walikuwa wanajua angesema hangesema, I'm sure there were people who wangeenda hapo walikuwa wanaenda kupigwa.
And maybe they had a list of if this, then that.
Ukiona hii,
Another kwambia
ukiona hii nyoho.
Boni angeenda, Anifa angeenda.
And you know in Gunari, you know, like I have, you know, I mean, I've never been a goon, but I have some experience with Gunari. There's usually a commander. There's usually a commander. And that commander, nowadays kuna cell phones. Zamani commander had to get instructions physically from some, but in this day and age of cell phones, there's a commander and there's coordination. So everybody knows the signal.
Group chat.
Yeah, when the first chair is thrown, ameonekana, identified, be ready. When the first chair is thrown, all of you come. And when all of you are prepared, even the people who are protecting Morara, they are not prepared for that. And they're coming from all directions. But anyway, Mike, sorry we cut you short.
No, I was going to say, you know, ideally, what they did was, you know, the intention was to make it look like Morara is the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, whether he mentioned it or not. And Morara is a disruptor. In a sense, yes, he's a disruptor, but he's a disruptor for the good. All that should have happened was he comes in, he does his presentation. Because here's the thing. Samuel, whatever his name is, was not accorded the same violence and was not received the same way.
He had some protection.
He had protection. He was not received the same way as Morara.
No.
Yet he has been the guy who has been fighting. If you recall, there's a time he ran into was it Nation House? He running away from GSU, from Fanyafujo, guys or whatever. So this was definitely targeted, and on top of it being targeted, what it ended up being was that they ended up looking bad, because now it was identified as, you know, like Mika said, ODM. Goons had come, and now the picture that has been painted is that you're not going to disrupt us. You're not going. We're going to protect this guy no matter what. We're going to protect Ruto and Gachagua. We're going to protect this government. It doesn't matter what bad thing that they do. But I think from after he left, and you guys probably watched the clips that followed thereafter, and some of the comments that were being made by some of the participants, walikuwa nasema nini? Wote wawili waende.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think the most unexpected part with all this public participation was this to turn to Ruto must go.
Yes.
I think they're trying to distract people on Gachagua and distract it from the president. But I think there was no expectation. Even for me personally, I never expected it. And it was in all places because, you know, the different media houses were showing Kakamega, Baringo, Isiolo, like everywhere.
Eldoret,
Yes, it was Ruto must go.
You know the only people who are unanimous on Gachagua going?
Is it
Northeastern?
Wapi? Northeastern. Yeah.
Northeastern.
Northeastern, there's a problem. There's a problem in Northeastern, which I think needs to be solved. However, Northeastern, they usually, they have a certain special relationship with Kenyan politics. But I think eventually they will also get, get on board.
I think Bora Duale yuko sawa wako sawa.
Yes, and I think also Northeastern has benefited a lot from Ruto's government in terms of appointments and a lot of, you know, like other issues. So
facilities, all sorts of different things opening up business-wise.
So I don't even know where the mind of Gen Z Northeasterners are. I've not quite been able to decipher that. But I think eventually they will also get on board because because they are also suffering wherever they are. Their leaders are also you know, like looting and stealing from them, and I think they're also affected by clanism politics there, which is more deadly.
The clanism,
that's the one. The clan. I had somebody mention that.
Yeah, because the clan is. You remember when Anifa first started coming out, she used to point out on issues of sexual abuse that was happening back in Northeastern, and which way did they try to get to her? They tried to get to her through family, through clan, sending people to talk to her. But they got to a point whereby they threatened that they are going to expel her father from the mosque and her family from going from the mosque because of that. So there's that thing whereby they victimize you when you point out some stuff, and I guess that's what most of them are scared about, or that's what's holding a lot of people back. But at some point, Punde uchoka. Punde imechoka. Punde, nani alijua Punde tuichoka Eldoret?
Yeah, and
Punde tuichoka kwa kina Nandi huko ama wapi. Punde uchoka.
Yeah.
So hiyo pia itachoka tu.
Yeah, and I think, you know, like Hanifa Fasafi is one of those Gen Z, like protesters or activists that I would really love to interview at a personal level. And I say this because it's not easy, like for her, based on the not only her community, but even just as a
religion,
just as a Muslim woman.
Yes.
What she's doing is actually the right thing. What people forget, like when we go back to the Islamic religion, is that fighting tyranny or even saying something against a tyrant is a stronger form of jihad than picking a weapon. That's one thing that that is not talked about. There was an imam in Parklands who actually talked about this. So I think we also have we've been Muslim communities for one reason or another. There's been some marginalization. So there's always been a fear in coming out. So that's why the likes of Hanifa. I think what she's doing is very brave. I've not seen her interviewing anywhere. But she's one person. Even just as a Muslim, I just like to talk to her because I know where she stands is a very, very difficult position.
It's a difficult place.
And she's one of those people that who also needs all the protection, plus people like Morara. Hapa washeke hapa ananichokoza hapa ananiambia ati Ali confess you are a goon for a certain sultan. Me, I did not say I was a goon. I said I understand the science of goonery. I understand it. When you observe, you understand something. And by
the way, Washeka, that might also mean that he may not have been in the gunnery, whatever, but he may have facilitated and demarcated.
I was around the area when that gunnery was happening.
Giving orders over.
Washeke also says it was a state-sponsored mandamano, no tear gas, no bullets, no bloodshed. Today was one of the best days of the movement. And then Evans Marube says DPP, DCI, ESCC heads in Duale, heads and Duale once defense cabinet are from Northeastern. So I think Evans is just giving the seats that were given to Northeastern. Mike, you're asking something as Omosh is looking through YouTube. Omosh is going to read the YouTube
No, I was going to
comments.
ask the same question you're asking us. What about you? What was your thought?
My thought about
the same question that you asked us. With Morara going in, how he was received, your position, your stand.
First of all, this week we're preparing to interview Morara.
Correct.
That's what we'll be preparing for all week.
Yes.
So this was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
When I woke up in the morning, na check a group, and then Mika anasema wamemvamia Morara.
Wamevamia president.
So me, the first thing, I contacted Morara's personal assistant because Morara is very busy. You cannot just reach him. So I asked him, is senior okay? No, ameshambuliwa hapa. Anasema hapana, usijali, he's been rushed to hospital. And then, she told me that we'll let you know about the interview. And then later on, she told me that we cannot do the interview for understandable reasons.
Totally.
Yeah, for understandable reasons, quite fair. And yeah, to me, I was surprised. I thought this was just going to be another mundane public participation exercise. I did not see it descending to Ruto must go. I did not see it descending to paid goons attacking activists.
100.
I did not see this coming at all. My thinking was they will do the public participation to check the box, because right now these laws are not good because of jurisprudence from the Supreme Court. So I thought they're going to do this to check the boxes. It's just going to be another exercise in futility. And then come next week, Tuesday, they will go through the motions, impeach Gachagua, and maisha tu iendelee. But surprise, gunnery, attacks on Morara. I never saw this coming. What this shows is that the intelligence has clearly identified Morara Kebaso as the most likely,
credible
threat to Ruto's presidency. I think that's why they targeted him, because the other activists, Kikinaka Samuel, they were not attacked. They were
activists.
Yeah. Okay, whatever name they give to them, but he wasn't
received as Morara was received.
He wasn't received as Morara was received.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was right at home. The thing is this, onye tuongeje about Morara atakuja kwa Kasmuel, but I have very strong opinions about Kasmuel. And I remember the time I mentioned something because you are mahali, but tungetendelejia Morara.
But the way things are going, it's now a wait and see game. Kenya has become a day by day. It's kind of like it's kind of like a soccer game. You know, you don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 minutes. You know, like
it's one of those.
It's kind of like a 90-minute game.
Yeah,
and you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I think I think we know what's going to happen, and it's unfortunate at the rate things are happening. This thing is a live keg that's gonna blow. We just don't know when it's gonna blow.
Gachagua is not gonna be impeached.
Remember when Morara was on the show 3 weeks ago? Remember what he said? He said that this is a calm before a storm.
Yes.
This guy, I mean, it's like he sees these things coming. It's like he was he knew it, he just didn't know exactly how it's gonna come. It's a calm before a storm. And I think President and his people had not seen this DP Gachagua impeachment as something that was
going the way
they didn't see that happen.
Because you see, like if you
Nikiburi.
you know, like even hold on, Mika. Even when you listen to, I don't know if any of you listen to Kabogo.
Yes.
When he was on Spice.
When he was on Spice, yeah.
And what he said, like he said at this juncture, it's Gachagua, mwenyewe, he's the one who's handling it. It's him himself that is in this situation, because the way it has been set up, vile imepikwa, vile imechanganyishiwa, whatever,
yeah,
it is here.
Mashakura iko hapa.
Mashakura. And it is only he himself anaweza, he's only one who can deal with it.
He's the only one who can solve it.
He's the only one who can deal with it.
Yeah.
Nobody else can come to his aid or whatever. Okay. But when you listen to even Akina, like I don't know, you know, journalists, you know, guys who are in that space, guys who are always in constant conversation with politicians or whatever, Ken Mijungu.
Yeah.
He said something that was very interesting, that DP Gachagua will be impeached. And
did you're watching him on Spice, right?
No. Yeah, he was on Spice, but I'm saying he put out a tweet. He was retweeted today in
prior
Ken
to
Mijungu.
Got it.
And what he said, that Gachagua is going to be impeached.
Correct.
And chances are the person that might fill in, there are three. Might be Waikulu.
Okay.
Gladys Wanga was mentioned, but that one is not going to get it. Machungwa or Kindiki.
Nyororo is not in the mix.
Nyororo is not in the mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
So many comments. Ngoja kwanza kuna comments hapa zimekuwa zikikam. YouTube is on fire today. Hapa Zoroluva anasema, maze, first thing I saw when I woke up messed my spirit up the rest of the day. Yani watu wengine wanafaa waachwe waumie na condition yao, SMH. And then hapa kuna critics anasema, the nation has been in arms for the Gen Z blood spilled. Nyanza bore more of the brutality, and ODM joining UDA has made many that had warmed towards it to identify as an extension of UDA. And then they have Abokas says TJ Kajwang and Beatrice Elachi are their names. So Apa, we have people on YouTube mentioning names.
Mika mentioned those names.
And then Aboka says Kasmuel is no threat to the establishment. Kebaso is. And then Iran Dunda, who was saying it was 2:42 a.m. in Norway. I think right now it's maybe 3 something. Ira says it was surely stage managed. It surely failed. Those paid ODM wanna be paid goons with Kajwang, and I hear Elachi just empowered the eject. He was freed from court case and will recover and return. And then I have Aboka saying, and Kasamuel seems to be desperate for attention, wanting to stay relevant since Morara hit the ground running. And I have critics here saying there was also Aladwa stating hamtatuzia woga while their goons were throwing seats. It's all ODM. What if they formed the government? They would have been worse on dissenting voices. So yeah, so those are opinions of people who are tuned in on YouTube. YouTube imewaka moto here.
Puki anasema, Puki Manjaro, Samuel is Diddy and baby oil. Is with Diddy and baby oil.
Okay. So. And then hapa tuko na Adhiambo Dak on Facebook anasema did you mean Migunari? Hapo fafanua what you mean. Ama you mean the guy from Canada? And then Wanjeri anasema, I think what's telling is that Must Go is having ODM do his dirty work. How they don't even see they are also pawns on a chessboard. At least Kofefe has the balls to do his own dirty work and own it. Chiflui anasema, I have 4 numbers of Beatrice Elachi, TJ Kajwang and Kasmuel kama mnataka kuwasalimia. That is Chiflui. Now, just moving forward a bit. Now, this presence of hired political thugs in the political landscape, I do understand a bit the science of goonery, but the question is, at what point do these politicians feel like we need to use goons? Because both sides have goons. I know usually 100. ODM is the one that's associated with goons, but all political formations in Kenya, they have goons for hire who are ready to deploy on short notice, on very short notice. So EQ2, like, I wonder sometimes, like, for example, like what they did today, I'm trying to think from their perspective, what was it intended to achieve politically? Mika, let me come back to you.
Basically, what they want to achieve politically with this is simple. Take out any dissenting voices, especially dissenting voices that are going to get in place of this impeachment. We do not know what the end game of this impeachment is, but what we do know is that this impeachment solidifies the marriage between ODM.
Okay, Mika, I think we just lost Mika for a moment there.
No, I'm here. I don't know where I went.
Okay, there you go. We can hear you now.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so I think, what I was saying is, they know that this impeachment solidifies both of them, solidifies this marriage for them. We have had so many rumors on what's going to happen. We've had the rumors that they're going to try to sponsor a bill to create another, like a PM slot or whatever it is. We've had rumors that the vice presidency might actually go to ODM, not necessarily go to somebody from OneMic Kenya. We've had, there's so many rumors, but all in all, we know that it solidifies that marriage. Now, the thing is this. We have so many bills that will define state capture that are yet to be passed. All these things will have to go through parliament. And all these things will need a majority of what they're saying, or a majority of senators and parliaments for them to and parliamentarians for it to go through. And it also gives a chance for them being able to nullify Gachagua politically, completely. Remember, if you impeach him, he cannot run for office. If he can't run for office, he can't control Mount Kenya politics. He can be a thorn in their flesh in 2027 if they boot him right now and he decides, okay, fine. And then if he gets the support of Gema, like the whole of Gema would unite behind him, get the support of Gema, get the support of Huru and everybody, and then they start working with him, Gachagua will become a force of reckoning in 2027 that can be a thorn for him. Remember, this marriage of ODM and Ruto is a marriage of convenience. We don't know how they're going to be next year or in 2 years' time or in 3 years' time. So if Gachagua has power and then Ruto and ODM break up in the middle of their marriage and Gachagua and ODM go form a marriage, it means Ruto has the minority in numbers now. And we saw it was a well-pronged attack. When you saw people like Oscar Sudi tweeting and talking and warning him and telling him you're going to be impeached in 2 weeks. Like, these were Ruto's boys. Kibet, Farouk, alikuwa anaongea kwa Mama Tanga akisema vile wata impeach deputy president. The guy is not even a leader. He doesn't have any say. Ni PA wa Ruto. Unakuwaje PA wa president alafu unaambia watu uta impeach watu? And then you expect us to assume that this is just other MPs wanting to impeach and the president doesn't have a say. No, it's clear that they're trying to politic, and the ways of politicking is in a ways where, and I'm really sorry for Rigathi because pia alikuwa mjinga. When he was talking without real thinking, and they let him steal so that they can have ways of impeaching him, and they're trying to throw treason at him, trying to say that he's the guy who was sponsoring the demonstration. Like, he cooked himself.
He did.
He cooked himself and put himself in that position. Now, when ODM married with these guys, it just became easier for them to do it.
Wow. Now, why, I mean, going to Mount Kenya, and maybe Uno here, you can help us. Why is Rigathi taking this risk? If this impeachment has the risk of rendering him incapacitated politically, like Sonko and Ferdinand Waititu, who've been the other two leaders who've been impeached before, and you can't run for any elective office for life. Why do you think he's willing to take this risk? Because we're not seeing any signs of him resigning, or will he surprise us on Monday and submit a resignation before the impeachment? Why is he willing to take this risk and go all the way and risk not running for political office for life? What is it that he knows that maybe we don't?
I think the first thing is that circles and the Morima peoples are saying is that they're looking at what he did. He was used to attack UK.
Uhuru, yeah.
So by he was Ruto's proxy to chapa this guy. And yes, some people bought into it. Also, don't forget that there was also that urban legend of Mogoroki, right?
Yeah.
So that also added maybe to the fuel. Then people are there was also that one of how businesses had been affected because of certain things that UK was doing policy-wise.
Yes.
That were crippling
businesses. Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, there was this thing of a covenant. The covenant had been sealed, and by the way, Cukes and covenants, it's like religion.
Yeah,
they hold them.
Kukula kiapo.
They that covenant.
They take it very seriously.
They take it very serious. So when they were talking about kumi ya huyu na kumi ya huyo, there are those guys who said, "Tulisema."
It's an agreement.
It was an agreement. So they're like, you know what? Because of that, and you're the one who came and told us, "Mkona huyu, kumi ya huyu na kumi ya huyu." You cannot come back and try to tell us and try to sell us Mogoroki. Sawa. But the way things have been unfolding, because you remember Uhuru came and said, "Mtanikumbuka mtakuja kunilililia."
I know.
Hey?
Yeah.
And all the battering that he had. If you remember what Kabogo was saying, there was a meeting. And actually, Gachagua was not even top.
He was not considered.
He was not considered.
He was not top, yeah.
He was not top.
He was bottom.
Yeah. So anyway, pun intended, no pun intended, no did.
Yeah.
So, when now Gachagua goes into this rant and whatever he's used, in conjunction with Machungwa and Nyororo wanachapa. So what is now happening is they are realizing that we made a mistake. And if you listen to the interview that Gachagua did with Citizen,
yes,
he's the one who called them. What did he say? He came and said, "My brother." He was calling my confidant, my brother, because he has to rectify that relationship
with Uhuru,
with UK.
Yeah.
Period. This is what we are saying.
Damaged.
This is what everyone is saying. It was damaged.
Yeah.
And how he went about destroying that bridge, I don't know. It's gonna be kind of hard. Chances are, people might see what is happening is happening to him right now, and they'll be like, "Hey, hata kama alikosea, lakini si namna hii."
Yeah.
You cannot do this guy like this.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
even when nowadays, when those people, when even there was a video going around of guys being asked, because they were saying, there was this chant that was going on, Togo kiratene, toshagore luto. Most guys are not even responding to that. They're like, guys are walking away. There's a revolt, and I don't know what Gachagua is going to do, because if he resigns, if he agrees to be impeached, he's not going to run again.
yeah,
He can't run again.
he can't run again if he's removed from office.
If he resigns, criminal charges are pending.
Where?
So, Upper, if you guys remember,
So it's frying pan to fire.
so in
you remember,
Japanese.
those charges that had been dropped. They're gonna be
they're
come
gonna
back
be
again.
reinvented.
Yes.
So there are charges that
Yeah.
they're criminal charges, and I think they're even part of this whatever.
Yeah,
this
they did
impeachment.
mention.
Yes.
Yeah, they did mention.
So it's a matter of either if you resign, criminal charges. If you get impeached, you're not running again.
So choose whether you want to die with a knife or a gunshot.
So you're asking what
6 million
so-
ways to die.
So
Yeah.
because you're asking what? Yeah, it's either it's they say Okari Magagoa, or whatever hill I'm gonna die on.
yeah,
Ni kama ile Japanese ya
hivi
Sebuku.
hivi Malakul Maut ashajitokeza.
Yeah. Ni kama ile Malakul Maut ametokelezea.
Sasa nakwambia we ukitaka kufia hiyo side ama
Ehe.
hii side, we chagua side unataka, but unaenda.
Choose.
We? Ni kubaya.
And unajua ni ile kama ile ya Japanese ile Sebuku.
Yeah,
Ile
the
unasema
sword, yeah.
the sword you
Yeah.
fall on your own sword.
Yes.
So now that's what he has. Either he falls on the sword of opposition of impeachment, and then as Mika said, he becomes a thorn on that side in the flesh. He becomes what do you call it when the career becomes septic,
Yeah.
sepsis,
Yeah.
and all that
Becomes
shmigri
toxic and
Yeah.
poisonous.
Or if he resigns, because he might have money and he has got lawyers, and then he can fight this thing until kingdom comes. See, we have Waluke who was convicted and is
still out. Yeah.
Chaguo
Okay.
ni lako, boss.
Yeah, so this is very interesting, and we're gonna
Wow.
keep following what's gonna happen.
Yes.
I want to remind the listeners that tonight's show is brought to you courtesy of money transfer app Lemfi. As you can see, there's a link both on the YouTube and Facebook page. You want to click on that link. The OneMic Show is offering $30. Is offering $30.
How much?
$30. 30.
$30.
$30 in Kenya shillings. That's almost 4,000 shillings, enough to buy tungi of gas. So
Correct.
for
Yes.
every
You can
first,
recharge, yes.
So for every first $100 you send using the Lemfi money, that's LEMFI. We have a link on both our pages. You get or use the code OneMic, ONEMIC. You've been seeing that code on the screen. You can use that code to get that $30 for every $100 for the first 100. Not every. Hey, wacha nisi excite what
For the
for the first $100 you send, you will get $30, and this is only in your first transaction. So make sure you download. Na ukidownload, tuandikie tu hapo, just drop a comment hapo chini, sema download, and that's like a small way of showing that you're supporting the show. That's a 30% return, way higher than Poroti Maguta. Now, coming back to this conversation, are there maybe any parallels? Or Moshe, I'm going to come to you. Are there any parallels in other countries? Do Kenyans, are we just complaining too much, or is this goonery a common thing in other, let's say, African countries? Let's talk about our neighbors, Uganda, Tanzania. Are these things that happen? Us guys, Kenyans, we are just complaining, we are just loud. Do these things happen in other places?
Yeah, the gunnery, we can go to M7 and see how Chagulani was done in.
Or Bobby Wine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Bobby Wine.
Yeah.
And then the other guy who was out in
January 6th.
for the longest. Remember the other guy who was out for the longest coming up to elections. Then they allowed him back
Kiza
in.
Besigye.
Yes.
Former Museveni's doctor.
Same exact thing. And in fact, actually, Bobby Wine, it was just the other day when he was shot. Just the other day when he was shot by government agents, and people had to rally and pull him in and all of that. But basically what happens is always this, you could be in Aralgo, you could be somewhere, then there are some people who are brought in to disrupt,
Goons.
distract, attack, and discombobulate everything, and then make it look like you are the one who has supporters who actually are riling up people and are messing things up.
Wow.
That bad thing. You just think of it really like the people who are disrupting the Gen Z protests.
The goons. Yeah.
Think of it that way. and then now take that out to in Uganda for sure. That one we know. TZ, TZ things are happening. They have a way of doing things
under the water.
Yes, silently. And when it happens, nobody's coming out and talking.
Yeah, actually hapa Kandi Jaradi, Mamchi from Virginia is saying Tanzania hawataki mchezo, hakuna kuongea, kila mtu na shughuli yake. But in Tanzania there's been these cases of people being disappeared, people being killed.
Extreme. Right now it's a lot.
Yeah, there's a public one of Tundu Lissu. Of course, Tundu Lissu, there was an assassination attempt on him a couple of years ago. But Tanzania, I wish Bandio was here to give us, like some insight on Tanzania. But even Bandio, he's very crafty and creative on the language he uses. There's what he'll tell us, and there's the other things that he will talk about.
On the ground. That's the times when you'd say you want to get a guy like Libe to come to studio.
Yes, because
he has nothing to lose. He will tell you everything.
Libe will say everything.
He will sing the songs of redemption that he needs to sing.
Yeah, and I think we also need to, like get people from our neighboring countries in the studio.
Yes.
To also have context and understand that these things are happening in an environment where there's no protection. In these other countries, where like in Kenya, there is some level of protection from the legal system that we have, the kind of population that we have in Kenya. So we have a lot of things to be grateful about.
And then kichwa ngumu right now, they're just like, it is what it is. And and then there's the other countries around are looking at us, the Rwandas, the Burundis, the Uganda,
all the way up to Nigeria.
They're all, yes, they've been following this Gen Z revolution for quite a bit, because if we think sisi ndio tumenyanyaswa, uliza watu wa Nigeria.
Yeah, I know. Like in those other countries, and you see
Ghana,
with Nigerians,
this whole thing with money and World Bank.
Nigerians with all their kichwa ngumu, they're still looking at us and they're wondering,
how are you pulling this off?
What in the hell have Kenyans just done? How are they able to pull this off? Couple of comments here coming. I can see Wanjeri says, after events today, I don't see Rigiji going anywhere. And Kandi Jaradi says, hawa hawaendi kokote mpaka Kenya sote tuwe na umoja, watoto wa mama na vijana na wazee, na tuache ukabila. And then I can see Kandi again saying, Wakenya ubaya tunanunuliwa na 200 Kenya shillings too. Back in the day, Goons used to be paid $50. Squeezy naona imeongezeka imefika 200, kuna wanalipa 500, but back in the day when I used to observe them.
This was facilitating.
Wanalipwa 2,000 siku hizi.
Kuna wana wanalipwa 2,000, inategemea ni area pia.
Which line are you on?
And then it depends on the area pia. Goons wa Ocha walipwa 2,000. Kuna and it depends on where they've been picked up. And then naturally the small amounts is of 50-100 bob are attendees, people to attend rallies. There's even facilitators and mobilizers for people to get to attend rallies.
Ocha, you're not paying more than
very, very small money is paid. I can see Dr. Gitao Gitswerimu is tuned in. Thank you, Sana, Dr. Gitao. Please type up comments, tell us what you think about what's happening. And then Wanjeri saying Mexico, I think referring to other places where these things happen.
But let me ask you a question, Adi.
Sure.
Would you consider young boys as goons?
What do you mean, young boys? What age? What age is young?
Oh, proud boys. What was the name of that group?
Oh, Proud Boys. To Trump.
Oh yeah. So in the US,
yes.
I think I'd put them in the same.
Yes. Yeah, those are goons. But do they get paid? Those guys are they just love Trump.
They get protected.
It depends on how you look. What are you counting as pay?
I mean, you've gone to cause chaos.
No,
at the Capitol.
They may not be getting cash directly, but there's some sort of gains that they're getting. Whether it's something to do with business, whether it's on the networking side, whether it's because it's a membership thing. So hapo kuna vile wasewa na hapo ndani au ndio wanajua vile wanasongesha vitu.
So hivi ni kusema pia America kuna goons.
Yes.
Ziko
100.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Ndio nilikuwa nasema hiyo pia ni goons. So
they're there.
The thing is, goonery and politics go hand in hand.
Correct.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Yes.
Yaani magoons walienda jaribu kufanya nini?
Okay, haya. So if you're tuned in from Kenya, usifikirie goons wako Kenya tu. Hata huko US tuko na goons wetu pia. But malipo yao it's slightly different.
There's a way that they do these things. It could be also hapa unapewa madeals, kuna vile
donations,
protection,
protection.
You're headed in this direction. I remember a long time ago when I used to first started out in the IT world. There's a guy who used to come and do our IT stuff, and that guy belonged to. There's a way they do barter trade, where let's say me, I'm a plumber, and you're an IT guy, and we all belong to this barter organization. So if I'm a guy who's an IT guy and I need a plumber, I go in there and I put in my services for IT, and I barter with a plumber.
Wow.
Or with another chap who batters with another chap, maybe a mechanic who
Damn,
batters with another chap.
Like days for cowrie shells, Zaman.
Yes, so these jammers are just exchanging services.
Hey, that's interesting.
You see, but it's if we are not members, if I'm not a member, I would never know.
So there's no currency, kwa hivyo hapo hakuna tax.
Correct.
There's no tax. You can't tax barter trade.
You scratch my back, I scratch your back, and I'll be scratching based upon the talent ile niko nayo.
Man.
If I need a jama for loan services, then me, I'm a guy of IT, but then the guy of loan services doesn't need, but he needs a guy who is a mechanic. But the mechanic needs an IT guy.
Yeah.
I go do work for him, then I send that guy to the other guy and leave you.
Can you barter for goon services?
Sasa na inategemea kama other goons members.
Ali, but let's look at how these organizations are, right? These organizations when a membership fee, right? And then membership fees, they usually say they have a membership fee. They register the organization and put something, whatever their mission is, why they're doing it. Then they have a membership fee. But then the one thing about America is donations, right? And we've even had politicians getting in trouble for, he donated to a KKK, a group that's known as the KKK affiliated club. He donated to this and this and this. Like was it the CEO of HP who was caught in a meeting for a bunch of KKK guys in Arizona back in 2016, 2014, 15, around that area. I remember it was a really big issue. Like the company speaks this, but their CEO is part of a known KKK group. So they get paid, not in salary wise, but if you were caught during their protest or when they're doing something, they will pay for your legal fees. They will take care of stuff. Those guys, they find a way whereby you don't, as Omosha said, you don't have certain issues that affect you personally. So in a way, it's that you get a group that has certain political beliefs and works to other political beliefs, but how is that group funded? Because it's not the members who are funding that group the way it's supposed to, for them to grow that big and for them to have the resources that they have. There's a way that they get money, and this money comes from where? So that's how you look at it. So difference yao na ya Kenya ni ile tu ya Kenya ni mimi naenda kurusha mawe juu niko na njaa.
Yeah.
Niko base, nilikuwa nimeka base hata sina mogoka. Aliyakuja niambe Mika twende Bomas. Tuwe vurugu for 1 hour.
Iko form.
Tunapata tao 2. Mimi kile tao 2.
Na una ene
kula mogoka,
una ene
keg. Na sina eni tao 2 na kunywa mogoka na kunywa keg, na bado mtoi na mama yake ndio kuja na chipo na kuku na bado ndabai unga na mboga na nyama.
Damn.
Kusha.
Wow.
For 1 hour's work.
That is the science of goonery. Sasa
for 1 hour's work.
Mika even knows the details. Kwa hivyo inaonekana Mika pia
kuna vile
anaelewa hizo story pia.
Nilisoma. The thing is this, I went to university college and I don't like to, a lot of university students goons.
You mean they used to
so I think because of poverty, because in this goonery science, these people can be activated on very short notice. By short notice, I mean within 15 minutes. There's a way in which these people can be. These people are jobless. These people are jobless.
So you remember the video circulating during the protests of these guys in Nairobi?
The car.
The
SUV.
Yeah. Was it an MP or somebody?
Yes, it was a former MCA.
It was a former MCA,
yeah.
A former MCA, right? Video, you know, like guys who in border borders.
Yeah.
Wanaenda huko wanapewa nini zao, wanaenda huko kuzusha.
And in this age of cell phones and border borders, it's even faster. You can activate them faster and mobilize, like border people to get them to a certain location.
Yeah,
mobilize a vehicle I mean, it is amazing how this thing works. Now, so many comments have been coming in. Wanjeri is saying, I think in other African countries, people are beaten to a pulp and are killed. That it has effective shut down all dissent. Kenyans and South Africans are the only places we take the fight to power. But Must Go is starting to borrow those disappearing tactics.
Mbona Wanjeri anaogopa kusema tu Ruto, anasema Must Go?
Anasema she has her own reasons.
Unaogopa Ruto?
Alafu hapa Dr. Gitsu Erimo anasema Zuchu in TZ chased out of stage for echoing Mama S, that's Mama Samia, at a non-friendly district. I saw that, and people were actually throwing bottles at her on stage.
Damn.
And then hapa Kandi Jaradi anasema they get paid, nasikia watu wa Trump hata kwenda kwa stage. So a lot of gunnery here, and I want to welcome our boy Karoya and Wanjiku Mwela, karibuni sana. And let me see hapa watu wa YouTube wanasema nini. YouTube has been a bit on fire.
Wako wengi leo, in fact hata sijui tuanze wapi.
Yeah, so I think so hapa Abokas anasema
Abokas, okay.
The sentiment in Kenya at the moment is very na kawachapo pending.
Yes.
And
Fill
then
in the blanks.
And then Anthony Diongo, does anyone know why they changed the venue from KICC to Bomas? Morara should have avoided Bomas. So I'm not sure, because the original venue was KICC and then last minute it was changed to Bomas. I don't know why. I don't know if that was to confuse people, but
pengine ni malipo.
Yeah, and
it's
then
cheaper to take Bomas than to take KICC.
Okay, and then Puki Manjaro says, guys, take in mind Rao will not win AU presidency. Then what? That's
question mark.
That's a big question mark, because I honestly feel Ruto used this Rao trump card very early on in his presidency. That's usually a joker. When you're playing poker, you have a joker. You don't just throw a joker ovyo. Una throw joker when mtu amesema kadi. That's when you throw the joker. That's when you throw the joker. Yes,
the guy was really back.
He was cornered
up against the wall. I'm telling you, people look at it and just, people don't understand the kind of lifeline that Rao gave this guy.
Yeah. Okay. So that's true. So that's really Patia lifeline. But then, again, this happened very early. We're usually using to this kind of temperatures coming towards the end of someone's presidential term, not right at the end. Yeah. So hapa Mbuyu anasema double-edged sword. Dr. Gitz, same comment. Zuchu was booed and chased out of stage for echoing Mama Samia at an unfriendly district. And then I have Truth Uncensored, both sides uncensored.
Hapana, uni Kizito. This is Kizito change their name. Yes, okay. Kizito change their name.
Truth Uncensored says public participation should be free, fair, and safe for all citizens to participate. There's zero tolerance to political violence, and those responsible should not escape accountability. Then I have Gerald Oliech says, convince us ODM weren't at play.
ODM Goons.
Yes, ODM Goons weren't at play. And then Truth Uncensored says, still waiting for a statement from Ruto condemning violence that was witnessed at Bomas of Kenya yesterday. Where's the leadership from president when you need it? If Rigathi had integrity, then before he took over the deputy chair, he would have insisted that a transparent investigation take place to clear his name before the taking of the position as DP. And then I can see here, Doka Monanti says, a whole MP stood up and said, if you are not invited, you shouldn't come. Wasn't this a public participation? So sad, hiyo chama tulihama. And then Pukimanjaro says, where was the police at Bomas during the Morara saga? So so very, very interesting comments are coming through here. And I first want to remind those who are just joining us that you're tuned into the OneMic Show. And of course, I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. We are talking about the current hostile political environment in Kenya. Morara Kebaso was scheduled to be on tonight's episode right now, but was attacked by goons earlier at Bomas and so could not join us. Impeachment hearings across the country have turned to calls of Ruto must go. And also the current political temperatures in Kenya are rising. We'll shortly be talking about who will most likely succeed Gachagua if he gets removed. And I think Uno touched on that a bit. We're going to talk about that. And the number to call, 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Yes, our lines are open. I know you guys like hearing our voices, but we also love hearing what you have to say. And of course, not forgetting that tonight's show is brought to you courtesy of money sending app Lemfi. The OneMic Show is offering $30 for the first $100 sent on your first transaction using the code OneMic, ONEMIC. You'll see it streaming on the screen every now and then. So you wanna click on the link pinned in the comments, both on YouTube and on Facebook. Download it, tuma your $100.
Ndio hata sisi tupate pesa po.
Ndio hata pia sisi tupate tumekuwa we are starving artists.
Ile mbaya.
Tumekuwa hapa kila Friday.
We are creatives.
Yeah, but because of your loyalty listening to us,
we starve on Friday just to be here.
But yes. Unaona Lemfa waliona tuko na njaa and they've seen that you guys are constantly coming back here, so they raised their eyebrows. I was like, watu wanasikiza OneMic wanaka wako na pesa na wanaweza kutuma pesa Kenya. $100 unapata $30, 30% return, higher than the return from a buroti maguta.
And the more you keep on downloading,
yes.
The more we get, the more we are able to keep the lights on.
The more we're able to keep the lights on. The more we're able to look handsome. Unaona vile hizi cameras zinatufanya tukae wachama wengine handsome number one.
I'll remove myself from that one. I'll leave these three.
So yeah. So it's a cameras. This is don't expect this when you see us in real life. Usianze kusema where Ali, I thought this is how you look. Kumbe this is how you look in real life. It's a cameras. It's a cameras. So for us to be able to continue, having those nice looks on camera.
Chezeni kama nyinyi.
Please, chezeni kama nyinyi.
And Pukimanjaro says Lemfi is not in Amsterdam. Yeah, I don't think they're there yet.
Okay.
I'm sure for the US, that for sure.
Yeah.
I know for sure for the US.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Ira, my boy,
US,
Norway.
UK.
You can let me know if there's
US,
if they're there. So it's US,
Canada.
UK, right?
Yes.
Canada, yeah. And the rate for Jamaican pia anaweza tuma fair. Hiyo
yeah.
The rate is also good.
Fair na facilitation.
Also,
yeah,
African Jamaican, he can send
from Canada.
From Canada.
From his Canadian bank.
And he can send to my M-Pesa just to check to see if it actually works
to see if it actually works.
Yes.
So Afro-Jamaican, if you have a motion pesa, hiyo story ya siku ingine. Hiyo story ya nyuma ya tent hiyo hapo. I wanna welcome. Yeah. So
Guoko.
Okay.
Yaani umeona vile amekuja?
Guoko.
Okay, hapa I can see
stay in my WhatsApp group.
Jojo Yons, karibu sana to the OneMic Show. Washeke says we can see Omosh Fire hair glowing courtesy of the cameras. Okay. And then Wanja is asking, Wanja Mwangi is asking if Lemfi is available in the UAE. Fanya your research hapo kidogo so that we can let Wanja know if it's available in the UAE, so that pia yeye anaweza kutuma kakitu. So we are glad
Lemfi,
that
by the way, can you, if you're listening, please, can you manage my challenges?
Yes, Lemfi, if you're listening, ingia kwa comments hapo and manage, say something, tell us something. So unaona where people from the UAE are also tuned in.
Imagine that.
Tell us what's happening in the UAE. Okay. But I saw quite a number of countries on their website. But anyway,
sending.
Yeah. So sending me what countries? US, UK, and
you can send
Canada.
to India, China, Pakistan, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and they say 16 other
No,
countries.
but where can you send from? Sending from?
Yes, now send from. That's
USA, Canada, and UK.
USA, Canada, and UK. Okay, so Lemfi hapo, Lemfi hapo kidogo mtajitahidi. There's other people asking. UAE, they're asking. Middle East. Middle East, I say kuna Wakenya wengi sana huko. UAE, sana. Qatar, Wakenya wengi sana. So those are markets that I think these money sending apps should also think about.
So that is the hunting ground for Kainel.
Wewe achana na hiyo story. Anyway, let's get back to our conversation. Wanna go to the Gachagua impeachment drama. So now here is a basic question that I think a lot of people are asking. Why is Rigathi Gachagua facing impeachment? What is it exactly that he did that has been laid down on as charges on the impeachment on the impeachment motion. Now, I mean, those who've been following it, please type up kwa comments. Let us know what exactly is he being impeached for. Ama, what are people on the street saying, Uno Mike?
So the charge sheet, the equivalent of whatever it was being discussed by Eric Latif and the Spice Gang, and they were looking at some of the things, because you're trying to make sense, and it as long as like in criminal law, like it has to stick. Like Ali, I saw you, not hearsay. I heard that Ali went. That is hearsay. That Ali went. He took that bottle of water. I saw him take it.
Yeah.
So you become a witness.
Yeah.
But just implied, because they look at a few things like what he has said, what he has amassed. So like now there's this thing of property that he has.
No, hiyo hoteli lakini aliiba.
So hoteli apparently ilikuwa ya brother yake.
Hoteli gani? Ni treetops ama ni
No.
hoteli gani?
Buda. Amenunua hoteli ka 5 na miaka 2. Hizo alia.
So there's some that he got from the brother.
From the brother.
The Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But there are some that he has acquired. So now those are the things that, okay. Because remember before he became deputy, there were cases that to the tune of hundreds of millions of
it was 800 million.
800 million.
Yes.
800 million.
Yes.
So okay, the case was dropped once he got into power. Right?
Yes.
The case was dropped. So those are the things, those are the things that they look at, because they're looking at chapter 6, then they're looking at other vipengeles of the constitution. They're trying to put stuff, right? That can be used, that is going to be used to supposedly impeach the guy. Can it stick? We just don't know. Because
they also throwing treason at him.
Yeah.
They're also throwing treason at him. They haven't just said it, but they're trying.
Yes,
they're really trying to tie the demonstration
Gen Z
to him.
Gen Z demonstration.
Yes.
Okay.
And then now you see how they've done it. They know they cannot prove that he's the one who did the Gen Z demonstration, but they want to say that he facilitated violence. Basically, they want to say that he's the one who was paying goons to cause violence during those demonstrations.
Because also remember that.
So basically, him and Ford Foundation were the same WhatsApp group.
Yes.
Until.
No, Ford Foundation have been forgiven.
They've been forgiven.
No, until.
Yeah.
Until.
That's why I said
No,
until.
Ruto was forced to apologize when he came here.
And this, and then there were like two or three members of his staff,
Entourage.
like a personal assistant, somebody in charge of communications or something. 3 guys.
Yeah.
Were menaswa.
Okay.
Part of that treason
no.
stuff that Mika is talking about. Yeah.
Hao ndio watu wanapelekwa Nyayo House.
So those
na
are the
nini,
guys who are
alafu
probably
wana-
facilitating.
So that's the link. That's
That's
the
the
link
link.
between the treasonous act and him. Because if you look at the impeachment of a vice president in Kenya, it's not easy.
No, it isn't.
It has a very high bar.
It is not at all.
It's not.
It's not a high bar at
easy,
all.
Like
Because
how to.
go ahead, Mika.
Sorry. No.
No,
go
go
on.
ahead, Maliza.
So it's not easy at all, because first of all, if you look at the Kenya Law Reform Commission, how they say is that the deputy president can be removed in office, like it's the part of the constitution is too short, on the ground of physical or mental
Incapacitation.
incapacitation to perform the functions of the office, on the ground of gross violation of provision of this constitution or any other law. So that is like if he's really gone against the constitution, right? Where there are serious reasons to believe the deputy president has committed a crime under national or international law. So akiwa mtu or for gross misconduct, the provision of Articles 144 and 145 relating to the removal of the president shall apply. So that means that if he has really ameamua kwa kichaa, ili akaamua, then they can try to impeach him on how they can impeach the president. It's actually easier to impeach a president than to impeach a VP.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, what is it, like now how will the process work? What do we expect to see next week? Because we've seen impeachment of governors before. We've mostly seen impeachment of governors. Actually, there's another governor who's actively being impeached. I think he's staying in on a court order. Kericho governor.
Kericho.
But I think he's been kept there by a court order.
He's been kept there by a court order, but he's impeached.
Yeah, but trial bado itafika nini, itafika Senate. So
Senate is a little busy right now.
Yeah, so Senate has too much going on. So Mika, what do we expect to see next week? I know that's a difficult question.
Let's go back to this week. Yeah. Earlier this week, when the impeachment proceedings were brought into court, right? Remember,
into Parliament.
Parliament. Yeah. Sorry. Remember, the Speaker said he's in support and stated his reasons. The Speaker is supposed to be neutral.
He's supposed to be neutral, yes.
He's supposed to be neutral, and that's why there was a member who said he wants the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and the third Deputy Speaker to be out of Parliament. There are these other Vice Speakers who are capable enough of handling that hearing, because the other ones who are political appointees will be biased. And we saw that the Speaker, Wetangula, already alikuwa shasema yeye he supports this. Now, because he supports this, what we should expect is a lot of cooked public participation numbers with signatures. And a very hostile but one-sided Parliament and Senate on pointing out why he should be impeached.
Yes.
Today, earlier in the morning, we saw there was a statement that was released by UDA, and UDA said that they will go back to negotiations. Then a few hours later, it was taken down on all platforms. And we saw some ODM senators talking about, do we need public participation if public participation is going to be about other issues instead of this issue right at point? But the thing is not just because people are saying Ruto must go, they are not refusing to participate in Gachagua's impeachment. They are telling you that we will not impeach this guy if he doesn't come with his package, because we elected the package. So trying to sanitize and clean the airwaves so that you can be able to discredit the public participation is not going to work to the Kenyan people. And if Gachagua is impeached, this is the end of this. I will say the truth. It's going to be the end of a lot of ODM politicians. It's going to be the end of a lot of UDA politicians.
So this is going to be existential next week.
Yes.
Yes.
For them, they've already planned life without Gachagua. Our dream life with Gachagua. They've planned life without Gachagua. We've seen people put their political careers at risk. Remember that MP whose supermarket was banned? Leo aliambiwa Buddha, tulikuchomea mara ya kwanza hukusikia. Unataka tuchomea mara ya pili. And he had to beg. Akaomba msamaha. Right? People went, because public participation requires the MP to be there. The public participation equal valid. That is why in all Nairobi MPs were in Bomas today. Na walikuwa wanasomewa kwa watoto. Wote, apart from Babu.
Now,
you see, Ali, the thing is, the MPs have been given that reality of how things are on the ground. They'll have to think about themselves first. So, impeach Gachagua because you've been told na itakuachia uibe. But impeach Gachagua knowing that the Gen Z protest plus Gachagua, you've gone against the people. 2027 Simbali. Now, umeambiwa hapa leo 2027 Simbali. Go ahead and do it.
Wow, now I'm starting to have, after the Gen Z June protests, June July protests were crushed. I felt like, okay, Ruto had bought his way out and he was gonna survive through 2027. But now with this new wave, I don't know. The question is, will he survive to see 2025?
Almost.
I don't, with how things are happening now, and you mentioned it here. Every day is a new day for which you knoweth not what you're going to get.
Yes, when you wake up, you don't know what you're going to get on your phone when you go look.
So hata ukianza na tuseme Spice FM asubuhi at 6 when they start their show at 6.
Yeah.
By 10
it's obsolete.
Kunaweza kuwa imelipuka.
Yeah.
So that guest that they had over there who came with CG, I don't know, analysis here.
It becomes irrelevant.
It becomes irrelevant, yeah.
So ulisikia Kabogo akikuja kiingia akisema ati huyo jamaa he should just go ahead and just akule hapo tu nini na resign. At least he can live to fight another day. Sijui nini.
Yeah.
But
resign.
You see now
criminal charges inakongoja.
What Uno brought here was that ujama akisema tu I resign. Sasa ile that clock
so
that
the
was covering
is ready.
The clock that was covering him.
Yeah.
Juu yuko ndani ya hiyo ofisi.
Yes.
Shroud is lifted.
Off.
Welcome. Come.
Come, baby, come.
We'll treat you like Waititu. We'll put you in that cage. You look like a chap who's being waited upon for execution. Wow. So, Yani, I don't see this guy surviving with the irritation that the voters who are ready to vote now have. Now, his survival as well is now him playing games. And remember, we don't have IEBC. So if you take him out, then what?
And I think they're slow walking IBC. That's part.
What do you mean you think?
That's part of
Ali, what do you mean you think?
I think, you know, like...
this is October.
Yes.
If even one IBC chap is constituted by January, you ask me.
Remember, after the Gen Z, you know, like revolt,
correct?
When the cabinet was dissolved,
yes,
they said 90 days. I can't remember the exact date.
They presented the papers. Yeah. That's the time when they were all lined up with Rao and guys were given a copy of the IBC thing, blah blah blah.
Yes, and they said within 90 days.
Yes, and they even started. They even actually started. I think they had like a committee. They started. Then now, it's crickets. So what is going on with the IBC? Because by now, at least even the chair should have been appointed.
Wow.
At least.
Yeah, I know. They said 90 days.
You cannot still have an election. Ali, those chaps in Northeastern have been waiting for how long?
They're slowing down this thing, knowing pretty well that there's a lot of state capitals happening.
There's a lot of dissent.
So they'd rather leave it in anarchy.
Correct.
Because once IBC...
Because let it be in anarchy, because as long as I'm sitting over here, I can control the anarchy. And which means I'm still sitting.
So hiyo ni kama kusema ref hajakuja game. Zero. And then mko pahali huko, mmemkidnap ref. Ndio asikam kwa game.
Hata hivyo, ni ile unajiambia, I'm leading 2-1, na wale jamaa, I'm leading 2-1, na wale jamaa na red card, mbona niwapatie ball? Wacha tukagonge tu hapa nyuma. Kuna haja kwa attack au tupige counter.
Okay.
Tukagonge tu hapa nyuma. Like they know that there is no need to give the citizenship power.
Because they know what will happen.
Yeah.
They know what will happen, yes.
Okay. And then if you try to move, the goalpost gets moved. Because you see every time when you come up with something, we've protested, shwa, goalpost moved. We've done, shwa, CG Gachagua. We did it. So if it's not this one, there's going to be another one. Yeah. But it will be basically it's going to be
Gachagua impeachment. The Gachagua impeachment is I don't know who advises these guys, but that's
like an own goal.
But that's an own goal. The biggest own goal they've ever scored against themselves.
But Mika, you said it here earlier. You said the reason why they would do this. You actually said it here, where you are saying that
I said the reason why, but the thing is, as Alia said, huyu jamaa anarusha joka alafu anarusha three zote zikifuatana. Asave mamisail. Unajua unacheka ka 3 ama ka 2 ile ukiwika kadi wajaribu kukuraundia. Uko na defense.
Uko na defense, kweli.
Jamaa anarusha kila kitu at one go pa.
Okay. Sawa. It looks like we have a caller here, but before we take the call, I'm going to read a few comments. Steven JJ anasema nasikia alichapa Ruto for 20. Yani kibare moja noma sana. And then
hiyo ni impeachment direct.
And then Wanjeri anasema this game was cooked during the elections. The minute Rigiji insisted he must be VP, his goose was cooked. He was just too stupid to see past his arrogance. Sivinjeje then says hata boss Shole alisema yeye ndio atamuimpeach eti she's an iron lady. And then hapa Wanja Mwangi says, but which person in this regime has not pivoted financially since this new government got in? Looting is at an all-time high. Rigiji's situation is a personal vendetta. Impeachment of a VP is harder than the president. However, I feel our attention is being sidetracked while other unethical dealings are happening. I totally agree with Slay.
Yes.
Wanna welcome Lauren Kagwi. Lauren Kagwi, karibu sana. And then Lauren anasema ama weka K and J or A before Joker. K and J before
kick back, jump,
okay.
then the A, you change it, then unaweka.
Huyu Lauren Kagwi anakaa alikuwa anacheza
hawezi weka K na J pamoja.
Inategemea na rules. Unajua hizi rules zina change.
Yes, it depends on who you're playing with. So if
kama unacheza game ya watu wawili unaweza weka K na J pamoja. Hapa inaonekana kuna watu walikuwa wanacheza zamani za chapa.
Yes.
Nonini Mgenge True is tuned in. Nonini says mecheki dem Mauru vile inject leo waende wote, kitu ilibaki tu ni aseme umbwa. Morara spirit is a movement. They silenced the whole country spoke loudly. And then I'm welcoming also Njoki Merian, and I can see Jojoons is in agreement with Wanja. So Uno Mike, pick up your caller. Caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
1291.
Welcome to the OneMic Show.
Dr. Gitao here. Can you hear me?
Dr.
Yes.
Gitao, karibu sana. Kwa wale wakujui, where are you calling us from today?
I'm actually traveling in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
Is it cold yet?
I'm at the airport, but I was just actually the connecting flight.
Okay, got it.
Chicago. I'm actually based in Chicago for now for work, but it's getting a little bit.
Hiyo hewa inanuka fresh air, ameko scented na natural herb.
So I'm listening to your conversation though, and about the impeachment. Gachagua has contributed kidogo. And I think what you know, impeachment is inevitable, but after today, the things that happened, a lot of things happened that are unaccepted, unexpected, or so to say. And it's because before yesterday, Ruto was sure that Gachagua was going to be impeached. And then now I found that ground, it can shift. The ground shifted. There's a lot of people that are supporting Gachagua or both must go. Actually, from very reliable sources, they even had to convene an emergency meeting at night after yesterday to make the next move. But you can remember, they were really ready to impeach Gachagua. But all the commissioners that prepare Bibi Nyoro to take over. And that's why you will see Bibi Nyoro acting like he is not even interested in it. This thing. It was a lot of people speculating at Itakuwa Sears Interior Kindeki, but that was not going to happen because if you give Kindeki the vice presidency, then it will mean a whole lot of cabinet reshuffle because you have to find someone else to pick up his thing, pick up his interior post. There would have been a lot of cabinet reshuffle too soon. So Kindeki was out of the play. It was leading Nyoro has to come from central. Obviously, you have to be leading Nyoro. He's not interested. But now after today, you see how people are like, you either go, what do I end there? And then now they just realized, Gachagua akona ground, he's picking up ground. Wamemfanya akue more popular than they expected. So now, there's going to be two theories about this thing. Yes. Can I get single.
Okay.
Problem single. So anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. Anyway, so what happened was it's going to be two theories in the outcome of impeachment. Both teams are going. What actually they wait until the last minute. It's going to be a whole lot of bluffing on both teams. The second will wait to see. These people going to impeach me. or not. So he's gonna bluff until the last minute. And then Ruto's team had to bluff until the last minute, waiting to see Gachagua whether he's gonna resign or not on his own. And the reason is, you see now the way the ground has picked up. If they impeach him now, they give him more power. He's definitely gonna resign before they vote, and he's become more popular, give him more power. And then if they impeach him, they'll be looking like brilliant. But of course, when Ruto will be like, oh, he will look bad, and that will make him look a lot of numbers for 2027. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of bluffing. But I don't think it's going to be impeachment. So until the last minute, they will call the impeachment and just let Gachagua run, just in case, not to let him popular. Because if they impeach him and he resigns, he becomes more popular and gain ground.
Wow.
Just for today, a few hours today, you see how today he gained ground. Now they're scared of that. You can look at that. Today after today, you see how he gained ground. So now, now can we impeach now? So he'll be gain more ground. So if you impeach him, he'll wait until last minute and quit. Once he quits, remember the other day at the funeral in the Russia for the kids, Kalonzo alisema ujue mkimimpeach mliba iko na wa marafiki. And then today, after the whole saga in the evening, the two mouthpieces of Gachagua was Mezo and Governor of Nyeri. Governor of Nyeri is speaking to come and threatened. He's not speaking a whole lot. But Mezo is still speaking. He's a new mouth. He's a new Civic. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa.
Yeah. So now, Okay. So now, I'll be back. Yeah. So now what happened is Mezo is the new mouthpiece of Gachagua. He's the new studio of Gachagua. If you go to his post today, just a few hours ago, do you know what he posted? He said, Mbele iko nesa sana. Mbele is from Nyandarua, he doesn't speak Kikamba. What does that mean?
Mbele iko sawa.
Mbele iko nesa sana.
Okay.
Mbele iko sawa. Akasema na nini na Kikamba? Amesema na Kikamba. Mbele iko nesa.
Okay.
Na Kikamba. Meaning, if they impeach, we are going with Kalonzo. You see that? Ruto doesn't want that. So he might want to keep the Gachagua in there so to stop it from gaining ground and also joining Kalonzo. Because if he does that, Gachagua will still going to resign and join Kalonzo, and the ground will be stronger now attacking you. So I don't think there's going to be impeachment happening.
Okay.
That's my take. And that's what I'm saying.
Dr. Gitz, asante sana. When are you coming to the DMV? Ile siku utakuja DMV, will invite you to the studio. Are you planning to come out this side anytime soon?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think, I'm around Chicago for the next few months, so I will.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm around. I should be.
Okay, sawa. When you come to the DMV, when you come to the DMV,
we talked about. We talked about. Yeah. That's about several times. So next time I come.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to come and talk about nuclear. You need to talk about nuclear medicine because most people don't understand what it is, how it is, what the achievement is, and the breakthroughs of what nuclear medicine has done to this one. Did you guys realize today that actually type 1 diabetes cure has been discovered through a stem cell?
That's why we need Dr. Gitz in the studio. Because hizi vitu Omosha hezi jua. There is no way in which Omosh will even come across such information. So that's why Dr. Gitz will come to the studio atueleze hii story yote.
Hata kama ni Zoom ni sawa.
Aya, sawa. Hiyo tutapanga. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Gitawa Irimo. Asante sana. So you see, watu hata wakiwa airport on the way, they are still tuned into the OneMic Show. Kuonyesha
that guy, I think he was checking in because ni kama alikuwa ameskaniwa nini
I know,
tikiti yake
but it was
ama
like,
simu na kaingia tu kwa seat na bado anaendelea.
But it was like, lazima hii ifike leo because mambo imechemka kumewaka moto Kenya. So asante sana.
So I think from that insight, it's you see now the perspective changes now from that little tidbit that that he has talked about, like even mentioning about certain tweets, like because you start thinking about, okay, if Kalonzo is saying that na anasema mbele iko nesa, that it's good, so you start saying, okay, what musical chairs is being played here? Because remember, like you mentioned that goon attack after Kalonzo spoke.
Yeah.
Did not sit well.
It did not sit well. Yeah.
Mother Karua herself, at some point saying, you know what, tunaondoka Azimio.
Yeah.
Sindio. So like there's fracturing, but what is it? Is it a regroup? And it. I don't know.
It is going to be a regroup. It's going to be a regroup, because the thing is this, and this is why earlier on I said that the mistake that I don't know if Ruto actually thought this out, because the thing is, if you assume the marriage with ODM is going to last you, that's well and fine. You have the two biggest parties together. You're okay, you have the numbers. But if the marriage with ODM fails, right, ODM will come back and just for the sake of ile uchungu wataenda kujoin nao watu wengine. So itakuwa bado Azimio na numbers za Gachagua. Gachagua doesn't have small numbers. There's a reason why Gachagua was chosen as a running mate. So Gachagua doesn't have very small numbers. And those numbers will hurt Ruto vibaya sana. So I don't know. Honestly, start with my hope. I don't want to wish good for well because start it work. But mimi nasema tu kenye odiambia Azimio, I hope you work. Kwa sababu kama haita work mzaa hii.
Yeah. I think it will be bad for MPs of both sides, politicians of both sides. They'll all be walking on thin ice.
And you remember when Ruto took over power, he was handed the tools. He put down the Bible, picked up the sword, and everything. He started cannibalizing opposition
Immediately.
He started cannibalizing opposition.
Immediately, yeah.
So he's cannibalizing. He's buying people. It's not that he's doing. People are coming over at like yo boss.
One difference between Baba's support and Ruto's support, Baba had for a very long time, of course, before until this Gen Z revolution, Baba had this diehard support base that was always constant, that was always there.
Yes.
Ruto's support, if it's not tribal, it is paid for.
Yes.
Yeah, it's paid for. And paid for support is always very volatile.
Very fickle, my friend.
It's only as good as you can keep paying, and as long as there's no one who's paying more money.
Yes.
So I think, that's where, you're seeing like his power shaken to the core at a very early stage, because all his support is paid for support. They're ready to move on when there's someone else.
Threats.
Yeah. Threats and payment, because he pays people, and then after he pays them, he threatens them. That's why all these MPs are scared. That's why you see the likes of Kina KJ, the Uko Parliament, singing songs that don't even make any sense, because they've been paid and now they're under threat. If you don't do this, then this will happen to you. And these people are crazy. We've seen people disappeared. We've seen people abducted. We've seen them doing stuff to people. So I think these MPs, some of them understand that the ground is shaking, because some of them are very savvy politically. They'll be able to see things that are happening on the ground. But now they're between a rock and a hard place, because, ulipokea bahasha sasa, and now you've been threatened. Like if you make any sudden move, we're going to take you out. And so what are you going to do?
And remember, some of those politicians themselves said, like now when it came to the finance bill, they said they were put in there by Ruto. They were not put in there by the people.
Yeah, they verbalized it. They totally verbalized it.
But now, like Mika was saying, these guys are even now really afraid of going for the public participation.
Yeah.
Because in order for it to be valid, the MP has to be there, right? Lakini wakienda huko,
yeah,
watasalimiwa.
Now the other thing is, if let's say Gachagua gets impeached and gets removed from office,
yes,
who's replacing Gachagua, and what's the logic behind who'll replace Gachagua? Who do you have in mind? Let me start with you, Mike, and then I'm gonna come to Omosh and Mika. Who are there 2-3 people that you have in mind who Ruto is thinking about?
This one. Okay, I will go with what Mijungu was saying. One was Waikulu.
Yeah,
because that one is a soft choice. It's a very neutral choice. It's not. It's
But
not,
what does it bring to the table?
that's-
Does
that's I
it
don't
bring
know.
back Mount Kenya?
Yeah.
Ish.
Ish. Yeah.
Because remember.
Because Rigathi is gonna be on the other side.
Because remember,
Yeah.
even Waikulu betrayed who? UK.
Why could betrayed UK? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that one, I'm yet to see what the impact would be. Any person that would accept anything probably from the mountain would either be fully deep, Kamodo-esque. So Machungwa, Nyororo. But Nyororo is quiet.
Morara is quiet, yeah.
Right? So it would have to be somebody, but you can see that the groundswell in Central Murima is not happy. So who? You're like, okay. And then also, here's another thing. They probably will not get anyone from ODM because already, dockets already, they got
Wameja.
Wameja.
They've taken the major.
Umepata treasury,
Yeah.
minerals. You imeja. Because there was a talk of Gladys Wanga,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Then there is
I don't see her
Kindiki.
resigning as
Kindiki.
a governor to come into that position. I don't see her.
Then there's a probability of Kindiki.
Kindiki.
You remember how they made him, how Njurinjeke came out?
Mount Kenya, is it Mount Kenya East or West?
Yes,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Until they came out and let me tell you, if they came out, if you become ordained,
So
They don't
Kindiki
have-
was ordained.
if you're ordained,
Yeah.
there's no public career. Uhuru became ordained by the virtue of the what he did when he came out and spoke up during 2007. And behind the scenes, people said, tutaenda na huyu.
Yeah.
You don't come and verbalize it. You don't come out and say, leo tumechagua Ali. It's
Yeah.
by virtue of who you are, people walking around you or whatever, then people will present you like this the guy.
Okay.
So Kindiki maybe, but it's gonna be tough.
So can Kindiki beba the Murima
No.
by himself?
No.
Be from Tharaka-Nithi?
No.
Okay.
No.
Aya, sawa. So interesting.
Yeah.
Almost you're talking about Gladys Wanga and not thinking should resign to become
I
a
mean-
deputy president.
Here's the thing. Like, she has a good thing going, which is a sure thing.
Yeah.
You go in there, it's not sure because then your protection is not going to be the person who you're working with. It's going to be the person who you're supposed to be working on behalf of.
Okay.
And that protection is based upon the relationship that person has with the person you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
It can get dicey. It's not a sure thing.
See, sure bet.
Meaning you'll come in and you might be the one who's got egg on your face and then you can't backtrack. Juu ukishaingia huko, si ati vile saa ati unapiga.
Or you can't change your mind.
Unapiga. No, I mean, like, you go in, then sasa now things don't work out, then what? Do you do rewind selector?
No, you can't.
Nirudishe huko pale
It's an
nimetoka.
irreversible reaction.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but it's a heck of an opportunity because you would be the first
Is it
woman.
really?
You'd be the first woman.
But
It's a
Yeah,
heck,
but
I mean,
is it
and,
with
but,
what it
and that's
comes,
that's
really?
why
Remember this.
that's why I was saying all those
Remember-
other things. Go ahead, Mika.
No, sikukata, but nakwambia tu, remember,
Yes.
there is a guy who was a VP, and he undermined his boss.
Yes.
So he understands how that position can be used.
Correct. I get what you're saying. And the other part to it is that with the type of not character, the type of person she is, her personality, she's not sit down and shut up type of person.
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's a strong woman.
She's a go-getter.
She's a
And
strong
part of it
personality.
is that because there's people behind who are pushing. So all of that stuff was done on purpose.
Yeah.
It's like, you sit here, make sure you're seen everywhere. If you see me going, you're there, you talk, you go to the stations, you speak at the stations, blah, blah, blah. And so that you're seen in every facet
Yeah.
of the game. And it gives you that public persona to everybody outside, and internally here, Kwa County,
Yeah.
we'll work our magic.
Yeah, but who now do you see, if not Gladys Wanga, then who do you see
As
President Ruto selecting?
I mean, I hear all the people who have been talked of, but if he was to go with a woman who is quote unquote not a Luo, it may sound crazy, but I'd say Waiguru.
Okay, all right.
I mean, it may really sound crazy.
But how is the, before we go to Mika, how is, like the Lake region, like digesting all these things that are happening? Because we saw like there was a temporary sugar rush there. People were excited when Ruto came and people had been appointed to his cabinet, people from there. But where is the pulse? What is the ground saying? Are people still family with Baba? And of course, being with Baba right now means being with Ruto, or are things a bit shaky from where they've solidly been? Because that's one of the political bases that has been rock solid for as far as I can remember.
So, and not unless something happens that is spectacular, all those folks are still going to be Baba.
Okay.
Period.
So whatever Baba
all those
says,
folks are going to be,
including Gen Z.
All those folks are going to be in that region. They're all going to be Baba.
And that's including Gen Z.
Now, the issue here becomes these other sideshows and politics and all of the things, or politics and things that are happening, right? Because remember, sasa let's say sasa tunasema Nyanza, right? There's Luo Nyanza, then there's Nyanza.
Now the Kisii side of Nyanza.
So, correct. And how those chaps, those ones, you don't know which way they're going.
Okay.
They can go any which way at any time. And it's not even for their own. Because hapo ndio pale wamefika that part of tumechoka. Hawa wengine watasema, well, tumechoka lakini huu ni wetu, so tutangangana naye.
Okay.
And that's, I think that's been the problem with Luo Nyanza.
So I'm interested to see and that's why I really want IBC to be reset up to see how the by-elections of those seats that were vacated will go. But that's something we're going to talk about later. Mika, I'm going to come to you. Who do you think is going to be picked as VP by President Ruto in case Rigathi gets impeached?
Honestly, Ali, I think they had somebody in mind, and I think he was thinking about Kindiki, but just the response that came out from Mount Kenya MPs, I think that is shaky right now. I will not lie that I know or I have an idea what's going to happen, because as you said, Kenya has become so fast that whatever was relevant in the morning by the week is relevant hata kidogo.
Imekuwa kaa currency ya Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Alafu today has had to make them go back to the drawing board. Had to really make them go to the drawing board. And then me, I'm thinking here also, why is ODM risking itself so much in this? So they could have silently sat back in the silence and tell you guys, sort your mess. Tuliwasaidia, need this thing, right? They had every right to do that. Hawakukuwa na right ya kuingilia impeachment. Ilikuwa ni kazi ya UDA. Wangepiga kura parliament wakisupport UDA na maisha yaendelea. Hawafai kuwa wanaongea, but they're very loud and they're talking.
Yeah, I think, like personally, like having been a Baba supporter for a very, very long time, I think some of the, like some of the kingpins or some of the, like the establishment people are reading the signs of time. And they're already seeing the party dying. So I think they're making a calculation. Do we wait and see it die a slow death? Or do we take a money heist on our way out? And I honestly think, like maybe because these are very savvy political individuals, I don't think they would just make this political maneuver knowing it's gonna kill the party without some reasoning going behind it. And I think there was a difference. There was definitely a difference in opinion in the leadership, as clearly has been demonstrated. But then, you have these ones who are saying, our time is now. Let's take this money heist and go, because 2027 has become a very, very unpredictable space. I personally don't know who the president will select in case DP gets impeached, but I have a feeling, because this, I think, is gonna be, like the way political, there's usually first half of the term and then second half. I think this one is gonna be in 3/3. I think what sport goes, because a lot of sports need 4 quarters. So this one, I think it's gonna be 3/3. So we are done with the first third. There's a second third, which now we are in. We just started, and then there will be the final third, which is what will determine the formations for 2027. So I think in this second third, my thinking, Ruto being Ruto might want to pick a docile person. Unajua leo watu unaambiwa huyu hapo kimpatia chakula hata sumbua. You know, someone like my DVD
wakishiba
wasumbuagi, yeah. Someone like my DVD, that's one of wakishiba wasumbuagi, or Kithure Kindiki pia. Kithure pia is not someone who'll sumbua, but they both don't have the political clout or the political numbers needed. Now I think in the third is where maybe they're gonna do another maneuver to try to get someone now who will bring in the numbers. And this is all speculation. We don't know what's gonna happen.
No, I was gonna say, I think also let us consider that probably the pot from which he can pull from has dramatically shrunk.
Yeah, Amerusha Joker.
I mean, it has dramatically shrunk because of, you know, it's like not wanting to be affiliated with.
Yes. Yeah,
I think he'll just have to. I think at this point he'll just have to pick his pick who he had decided before they went on this impeachment.
Yeah,
because if he starts looking around and starts picking up somebody, it will show a lack of control, like an acknowledgement of weakness, and that will not look good on him.
Yeah, because like it's either that or this motion and everything is thrown out, and DP continues and Gachagua continues.
Oh yeah, Gachagua continues. Yeah,
but the pool itself is so small because somebody was telling me that they do it. You know, like it to be associated with him is like taking the poison. It's like
it's bad for your brand now.
It's a poison
it's
pill.
Become a toxic. It's become a toxic.
It's taking a poison pill.
Yeah.
So not many want to be.
Yeah.
And especially like from Morema.
Yes.
No. You have a few who might say tutachukua.
Yeah.
But there's that one person that will have to say ni sawa.
So now I've seen a lot of Nyeri members of parliament, you know, now like lining back to back DP Gachagua. Is that happening across Murima, or is that just mostly Nyeri County?
For now, it's just Nyeri County.
Yeah.
But eventually we shall see.
It will start spreading,
because like now, again, things are happening, like Mika was saying, things are happening in the morning.
Yeah.
It's like this. Afternoon, Allah vindu vichenjanga.
Okay.
We shall see what happens, because now if it depends on now how the voices, initially the ones that were UDA and were pro Kerea, if they're gonna dissent, if they're gonna say, you know what, no, we're gonna stand with our person.
Yeah.
Of course, there comes our people thing. Or they're gonna go with Ruto.
Okay, so I want to remind the listeners that you're tuned into the OneMic Show, and I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. We are talking about the current hostile political environment in Kenya. Morara Kebaso was scheduled to be on tonight's episode, but was attacked by goons earlier at Bomas. There's also impeachment hearings across the country that have turned to calls of Ruto must go, and the current political temperatures in Kenya are rising. We'll shortly be talking about Kenya's international reputation as we come to a close. How do the current political events reflect on us globally, especially those of us who are here in DMV? We see all these international organizations of people who are in New York. What are people saying about Kenya? What are investors saying about Kenya with all these things that are happening? I'm not talking about the 10% Maguta investors. I'm talking about real investors, people who are looking to 5x, 10x their money, international investors. Our lines are open. The number to call, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak, so feel free to call in. I know there's a lot of comments on YouTube. We're going to be reading them shortly. And tonight's show is brought to you courtesy of money sending app Lemfi. The OneMic Show is offering $30 for the first $100 sent out on your first transaction using the code OneMic. Now, if you use the link on YouTube or Facebook, you don't even need the code. It will take you straight. We get the referral straight. So the code is OneMic, or you can use the link on YouTube that's pinned on YouTube or that's pinned on Facebook. download the app and let us know if you've downloaded it. The other thing I checked out on Lemfi app, rates zao si mbaya. Rates zao, exchange rates zao si mbaya sana. I think, I haven't done the most current comparison, but the rates are looking
delicious.
Barabara. Yeah. They're looking good. So kama unataka kununulia bibi mdogo gas pale baba dogo, we'll give you an extra $30. Omosh has confirmed that $30 is enough kununua mtungi ya gas. Na hiyo mtungi ya gas, how long does mtungi ya gas last?
Inategemea na kama uko na mtu anakula kama Mika ama mtu anakula kama OneMic.
Okay. So mtu anakula kama Mika.
Uko na mtu anakula kama Mika unajua ni 1 month.
1 month.
Ukiwa na ka OneMic hivi
my intermittent fasting ni nini?
Yes, hapo sasa unaweza enda. Hata unaweza karibu gonge 2 months.
Okay.
Karibu.
So $30 za kuleka 2 months. And we are giving that out.
Hujadanganya.
$30.
Nilikuwa na expect radi.
Okay.
Anajijua.
Okay, aya sawa. So please make sure you download that app. Let us know if you've downloaded it.
Download mazeo tujenge, hata sisi tujenge. We keep these cameras, the lights on.
We keep the lights on. Juzi when Senator Sifuna came to studio, sijui ni maswali ndo zilimuingiza joto, akaanza kucomplain at all of a sudden studio niko na joto, na yeye peke yake ndo alikuwa na sweat.
Baze?
Yeah, because I think of the questions that were coming.
Ilikuwa ule listener from Shamavala wangu.
Esther Mulusa.
Huyo.
Esther Mulusa alimpeleka mbio.
Alikuja na ish.
Alimpeleka mbio
waliko sana.
Mpaka Sifuna alikata jasho. Yeah, okay, let me get some few comments here. I can see some more people here. Dide Ruz from Texas. I can see more Texas people joining the show.
Texas wako deep, man. We need to go to Texas. You guys in Texas, mutu sponsor tukuje huko, tufanye show huko. We really appreciate you guys always tuning in to us. Now, Steven JJ kwa ile story ya kadi anasema kickback jump. A for ajifurahishe, atoe hasira yake. Unaangusha joka kama umewika kadi, unaokota pesa kwa meza. Huyu Steven JJ anaonekana pia kuna experience.
No huyo.
Kuna experience.
Hata uwezi cheza na yeye ni donkey. Uwezi cheza na yeye.
Unakumbuka donkey
uwezi cheza na umse donkey.
Kwanza donkey ya flowers, ama ni donkey ya
sawa. Haya, na hapa let me see. Slayer anasema both of them should go. That's Rigathi and Ruto.
Yes.
And then sijui Slayer amekuwa starstruck. Alikuwa anauliza Dr. Gitao, kumbe ni wewe. Slayer totally starstruck. And Dr. Gitao tutamleta studio inshallah.
Lazima.
And then this hapa anasema some social media influencer aka very handsome guy, because I don't know his name, pointed out huwezi vua boxers before the trousers. Back to my sip. Okay. So I also want to welcome Tefia Texas deep in the building, Jabs Karis, Maryland. Steven JJ anasema hata Willis Otieno, Mr. Piki Ponki alisema aton underwear hutolewa na trouser. And then anasema Nyanza tumesha choma, tumeban mbovu. And then Slay says Omosh you're leaving Akinamika out surely. And then this hapa anasema if Kindiki is selected, Sifuna will shout like a hungry cat because he has expressed his hatred for Kindiki's voice the way 50 hates Jarul. Okay. And then Junoburu is tuned in. June, tell us now if you're okay. I know things may come down kidogo huko North Carolina.
Yeah. It's been
crazy. But still with all the craziness, we still want you to make sure you've registered, and all your people there make sure they've registered, because North Carolina is a battleground state.
Na mvute hiyo jamaa anaitwa Richards.
Yes, vitu vimekuwa moto sana Kenya. We've not even been able to get to US politics, but and elections is coming up, but we'll see if we can fit something in. Annette, be ready.
When is the deadline for registration?
Deadline for registration, it's different in different states.
Okay.
Different in different states. In Maryland, there's some states I think where you can register as you vote on the day of voting. So it's different. So
you
I
have
think
to check, is it the 911, what's it called, 911?
Vote.org. Vote 411 or Vote 411.
Yes.
Yeah, you can check and see deadlines for registration and any look at
as well as early voting and mail-in ballots, and whether if you and something for people who are using mail-in ballots. if you decide to get a mail-in ballot, especially in Maryland, I don't know about other states, and you decide that, you know what, this mail-in ballot is not going to work for me, I'm actually going to go to the polls. Guess what?
They will stop you.
No. It now becomes a provisional ballot, which means it's only counted at the time when there's a
close race.
When there's a close race. That's when, So just be cognizant of that.
So if you get a mail-in ballot, make sure you vote.
If you chose, because you can
opt.
You can opt until when was the date? I forget what the date was.
So we'll get a net to studio on one of these Fridays before the elections, and we'll get
Hapa
all those
wanasema
details.
registration deadlines online Tuesday October 15th, by mail postmarked Tuesday October 15th.
What state?
Maryland.
Okay.
Maryland.
Okay, sawa.
No. If you're doing the mail, it's not October 15th.
So
that's not
registration.
true.
Yeah, not to get
registration.
distracted.
Okay, not to mail in.
Not to get distracted.
Registration.
We'll talk about that. We'll get Annette here and we'll get all the details of those. Hapa Washeke anasema Kenya's endorsement of imperialism in the guise of helping Haiti is not being received well by Africans, Haitians, and Pan-Africans. And that's part of what we're going to talk about, the international reputation of the country. And then Stephen JJ amesema rates ziko chonjo. Wacha nipige test drive. Inaonekana Stephen JJ amepiga hiyo test drive. So asante sana Stephen JJ.
Umeona hiyo ching ikiingia hiyo dhate?
Bado sijaangalia, lakini tutaangalia huko kando.
Okay.
Yeah, tujue. Yeah, because you remember we are hungry artists, but mnaweza kutulisha kidogo hapa na pale pia.
Chezeni kama nyinyi. Yeah, and the link, it's very easy. Link iko hapo YouTube, link iko Facebook. So twende nayo. And then hapa Slay anasema I had this somewhere, I think this was about this whole impeachment drama is a way to divert from the NHIF fiasco and the dying down. So which is what people have been talking about. And then hapa Slay anasema ati Sifuna is watching. I don't know whether Sifuna will be watching right now. They have 99 problems to deal with.
He can choose one.
Okay, and then Sleodoro anasema kwa Kijaka tunasema Texas wapek. Whatever that means, maybe
wako heve kama heavy J.
Basi hiyo hapo Texas wapek.
Wako heavy pia siku ya election kabisa. President Cruz. Mexico.
Kabisa. Aya, and then Brown Sugar hapa anaambia Dr. Gitao Gitwerimo, hebu rudia tena, nilimiss hiyo part. Hiyo hapo utarudi kusikiza the recorded version. And then Brown Sugar anasema Georgia deadline is on Monday. Hey man, hizo states are south, they don't play. And then Slay anasema early voting Texas is October 21st, I believe. Please go and vote. And then Lauren Kagwe anasema mimi niko na voters card tayari, Madam President Kamala. Haya, and then Brown Sugar anasema Slay Odwar and vote. And then let me say Washeke anasema bora msianze kutuzia mashamba. Haya, sawa.
Wow.
Okay, sawa.
Kuna vile unaweza mtoa?
Well, amesema ukweli.
Ama hapa kuna freedom of speech.
Hapa kuna freedom of speech.
Maguta.
Yeah. Hapa kuna freedom of speech.
Why can't we influence when we are getting influenced even us?
Haya, sawa. Sasa, now, before we go on to Kenya's international reputation,
yes,
hii kitu inaitwa public participation, because now it's becoming real. Because the courts
we have seen it as a real thing now.
We've seen it as a real thing because courts have nullified
a lot of
bills that have been passed into parliamentary acts because there was no public participation.
Right.
Correct.
So this thing is becoming very real. Now, from the public participation that has been happening, what you've been seeing online, do you think when it comes to Tuesday, the members of parliament who are going to be voting are going to put that into context? Because it's hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore when it's all over the country. And it's very clear that people want both Gachagua and Ruto to go.
My thoughts are that they should, but they won't, because they're going to do what they always do, which is based upon the heaviest envelope that is handed. So that's what they're going to do.
Wow.
it's again, you know,
But then-
you're basically asking for the zebra to change its stripes. It's not happening. The zebra is the same zebra that went in. It's not a donkey. So hakuna hapo nini, watafanya tu hivyo. Now, if you are a clever person and you think as people who think as a politician who wants to come back, then you vote with your people.
But now what you've been threatened? Because now that's the other issue.
Again, you see, there's now there's a threat, which is it a threat, that one of life, ama ni threat ile ya kuna vile najua uliiba na wewe ndio utakuwa
Hii bunge 90% ni wahalifu. They have things they've done.
Correct.
So they all have doses.
Yes, but that's why I was saying that that you see, we always look at the heaviest envelope, right? And so that heaviest envelope it's basically, once you have taken, you're gonna continuously take this envelope, or you're gonna be covering yourself. That's still taking the envelope.
Yeah.
So you will vote with the envelope. You know, saying that it's a threat is just a nice way of saying you compromised yourself, and I am now helping you continue compromising.
Wow.
That's basically what it is. So these people, they're not going to change. They're going to do exactly what they've normally always
because
done.
People's supermarkets have been banned, wamesalimiwa.
It is okay. Kwani Sudi was si yake nini yunguliwa? Nini was banned?
Sudi si kama kila mtu ba.
No, Sudi si kama kila mtu.
No, but I'm just you're right. You're right.
Sudi ndo tide huko Kenya.
Okay, you're right. But all I'm saying here is that these guys are still going to go down that line. And if it's banned, you have insurance. You go and you claim, and it may take some time, but you still get it and you move on. Unlike the threat that is imminent coming from the state apparatus.
Wow. And then Apa Lauren Kagwe has an interesting question. Is it even possible to impeach both president and vice president? Has it ever happened anywhere? Asking for myself and others. I've never heard of both a president and a vice president being impeached. But the good thing is, if it happens, there will be no vacuum of power. Wetangula will become president for then IBC.
90 or something?
IBC.
90 days.
Yes.
So within 90 days, they have to hold an election. Within 90 days of him becoming president. So there will be no vacuum. And this is where I think, you know, like Baba may have played his jokers at the wrong time. Because I honestly
I totally agree with that, Ali. Because
if Baba stayed away, I think people would have unanimously allowed him to be the interim president as
forget even interim president, Ali. For me, how I see it, if Baba wasn't quick to get into this deal, if they would have forced an impeachment on Ruto, and then they would have called an election, there is nobody else who could have won that election.
No one else was ready.
Him.
Yeah. No one else
He
was
could
ready.
he could have been president of Kenya. Forget that foolish thing is going for Africa.
African Union.
But see, Africa is bigger than Kenya. Yeah.
Sima bloggers wanasema he's gonna be like the president for Africa. That's what bloggers are saying.
What does it give him? It's just a title.
The honorarium.
It's just a title. It's just a title. It's just a title because the members will always vote how they feel they want to vote, what is good for them. It's just a title for them. It's just going to be like, I won an election, I'm a president of something. But if actually he had taken, if he would have stayed away, Ruto would have been impeached, would have gone for election. There would have been no other candidate ready. Trust me, I don't care what people were looking for at that particular time. But there would have been no other candidate that would have campaigned in 90 days to be ready to win elections than him.
So are you saying hindsight?
His one chance of being
2020.
elected. His one chance of actually winning an election. Aliitupa yeye mwenyewe.
Interesting.
He gave Ruto a lifeline.
That's
He gave Ruto
that's
a
a very
lifeline that he never
interesting
had.
take.
It's those lifelines like you give. I don't know if you guys watch these my movies, whatever. Like certain things are very interesting. It's like I have one life to give. Let me give it because you're thinking kuna something up, I can always get it back.
Yes.
Huh?
Only to find out.
Only to find out.
Kumbe wewe ndio ulifungulilia
why he
panya.
would have won. He would not have won because he's a very good politician and because he's very good at campaigning. He would have won out of goodwill.
Because he's ready, Pia. Yeah,
but no, he's ready, but he would have won out of goodwill. Remember when they told him Aguamboka nyumbani umepigana?
Yes.
People had goodwill with him.
There was a lot of goodwill, even from among the Gen Z.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he said,
yes,
and
there was a lot of goodwill. He would have won out of that. That was a won. Ujama. Nasema watu nimesaa watu ni wajinga side zote mbili.
No, I think greed took over, and they saw an opportunity, and they grabbed it, right there without sitting and thinking it.
I even remember a tweet that he had posted. You remember the lady, the Kayang girl?
The chick, yes.
The chick said, Baba,
Yes.
please, by the way,
Yes.
where?
And he
You just
replied
chill.
and
he
said,
replied,
yeah,
today I am a proud
yes.
father.
Yes.
Yes. I was like, this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah, so
No sooner had.
No sooner than.
yeah, so I mean,
he says, I am a very proud father today. Hongera sana to the young lady and all those who bravely stood up for their rights.
now when we go back to this, and let me just first of all check a few comments here. I can see Ken Lemayan all the way, San Francisco West Coast, karibu sana, and then I think Lauren is asking, do you have good candidates? Hapo ndio changamoto. And then Slay is asking, the chair for AU was his own personal gratification. Sisi, we needed him to stay aside. And then Lauren is saying, whether impeachment happens or Zakayo ashuke asiposhuka, a lot of credit for Gen Z. Wamefanya ile kitu from maandamano. Until now, they should be proud of that. And then Stephen JJ hapa anasema, if you can't beat them, join them. Ameibiwa mara ngapi? I think nauze pia. And then Slay anasema akachoma mpaka na film immediately after. I didn't even know Slay anajua stories za film. Nilifikiria yeye ni era ya digital cameras.
Omera.
Wale millennials wa mwisho wale walihatua kidogo, walivuta rasa ndani mlango ikajifunga.
Surely.
Okay. Sawa. Now we the likes of Morara and this new political formations being formed by these young Gen Zs. We've seen at least Morara has gone to that step ahead and actually formed a political party, which I think was something that was very risky. But I think looks like it's something that's working. Initially, the Gen Zs were like, atutaki party na nini, atutaki nini, but he kind of took a different direction, and he's gotten favor from all generations, Gen Zs, and older people. So how do you think these new formations are gonna affect Kenya's political future now as we approach 2027? I mean, because none of this Gen Z stuff has been tested on the ballot. We don't even have IEBC. So we don't know yet. But we are seeing a lot of support. But how do you think this is going to shape? Is this the part where unakumbuka kama like when before the 92 elections, there was a break from how Kenyan politics was done, from the one-party era of KANU to now a multi-party era. And we could see the difference in how Parliament was conducting itself and everything. So are we expecting to see a similar shift, or what are you guys seeing? Will these older groupings, like re-emerge, consolidate, and get back their grip on power? Or what do you think?
No. Make her go fast.
Well, for me, what I think is that there's a shift in change. Things are different because even we're seeing, and I usually tell people this, there's a crew that's called, on YouTube, it's called Bunge la Wananchi. Bunge la Wananchi those are the true political, like, wale diehards. Wale diehards, wale diehard, only diehard wa mtu. Right? And the good thing about Bunge la Wananchi wanakuanga party sana. ukwefanua Ruto, ukwefanua Raila, ukwe nini, utapewa chance yako uongee kile unataka kuongea na nini. Hawapiganangi, wasumbuanangi, they air their grievances there from Jacaranda ground. Man, if I can see diehards like kina Nuru Okanga have turned on Raila. Now, and they give their reasons why, and they point their reasons why, and they explain why they support what these kids are doing, and they're behind them, and they go and they pinpoint issues. They say mistaken him. These guys who are guys who will defend. Bunge la wananchi ilikuwa ni vita. Like if you see, it was hawako wanapigana mangumi, but walikuwa wanaambia ya maneno. They were debating better than the real parliament. And now that you find that all of them have agreed on from both sides, na wote wamekubaliana na story ya whatever is happening in the country is not something to happen, it shows there's a change for ground. Si kwa social media, si kwa middle class, but we've come back on ground. And that is the most dangerous thing, because hata leo niko sure politicians hawaku expect after all the cleansing they've been doing, walikuwa wanaenda ushago wanaongea wanatoa pesa, si unaona tuko vizuri, si ndio? Si unaona tumerudi. They didn't expect this. I can Vilalia amesema hapo, hata mimi sikuwa expect what happened today to happen. I was expecting that the public participation itakuwa wamelipwa, waende waongee, signatures zitoke, watu waende. I didn't expect this. And it shows you the mood of the country, where the country is right now. Watu wamechoka. So I really do believe this INJECT party, people are saying is just like a joke that's happening, but it's scaring them that a small party like this imetokea from nowhere, imekuja. Now, when people start registering to this party, that is where they will realize hapa kuna shida. And if somebody is smart, this is the time to start doing your groundwork. Usiogope sijui ati siendangi ushago kusalimia watu ama nini ama anza sahi.
You know, to support what Mika is saying, to add on to what he's saying, don't forget, you know, in spite of, okay, put it this way, this movement forced Ruto to do what with cabinet?
To dissolve.
Forced Ruto to not to assent to?
Finance bill.
Even though he snuck in the appropriations bill.
Yeah.
But he was forced to do that. That is huge. Huge.
Big.
Major.
Never happened before in Kenya.
And bring in the opposition.
Yes.
Yeah, and forced to bring in
yes. The third one.
Broad-based.
That has not.
You mean
hasn't happened.
You mean bread-based?
Bread-based, yeah.
Or fraud-based? Mm-hmm. Fraud-based, bread-based government.
You know, there's never been a bill that's been discussed that was rejected by the people. This is the first time that a bill has been rejected by the people. Bills are rejected by parliament.
Yes.
And actually not even parliament. Uhuru was the first president to reject bills, and he was vetoing them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was vetoing them. Yeah, alikuwa anazivito na katana sema hapana.
Kusign, yeah.
Go back and
yeah. Siku za Moi bills zilikuwa zina go through. And then another thing that most people don't realize, unajua nini? This is the first time that we've had demonstrations by the people, not by a political party.
Yeah.
By the people.
By the people, yeah.
We usually have demonstrations organized by parties.
Yes.
Hata kina Sabasaba nini ilikuwa ni political parties. This is the first time it was by the people. Watu wenyewe. So there is change in that country. See, there's change iko hapo sahi already. Ni watu tu wako delulu hawataki kukubali. Watakubali.
As Machungwa called them, watu wa iPhones na kukula KFC. Right? So there is that.
Yeah.
Then, you know, people always talked of corruption or whatever. Then you have this guy who decides to say, let's not talk. Let us show. So hold my beer. anaanza kufanya audit ya town ya Marigitis, stadiums,
roads,
hospitals, police cells, whatnot, as in to show people this is where your money is going.
Yeah.
Forget the clamor to want to be in the front lines, the kukula tear gas or whatever, which is good. But in addition to that, unaoneshwa this is where the monies have been going. 10 billion zilitengwa za kutengeneza hii na hii na hii for 10 billion, and contractor amelipwa 80%. This is what is, and this is what we have.
And you know the most effective part is he was not only showing them that it's 100 billion that has been stolen, he was showing them how it affects you personally,
yes,
in your day-to-day life.
Yes.
And I think that was the genius of Morara.
That was it.
Because unajua ukisikia, like road ilitengwa 100 billion, it doesn't make any sense to you.
And you haven't even, like now for example, unaambiwa the Maimahio road or whatever, if you've never been, you won't know.
Yeah.
Correct.
If you're in Homa Bay, or if you're in Northeastern or Wargadud, Outajua, right?
Yeah.
So the only person that will know is the person there,
yeah,
the local, whatever, yes, the local guy. But even that one, hana sauti. But now, the guy has come, kuna video, kuna Starlink, whatever, unaoneshwa, this is it, pesa ilitengwa, this was supposed to happen, this road, ndio maana hamwezi kafanya kubeba maziwa, ndio maana mnajengewa market.
Yeah.
Market ni bay. Inaonekana tu ni garage ya kutengeneza gari. So how can you sell your wares? So this is when the rubber, like you're told, you're putting, you're visualizing what was supposed to happen. Is it Isiolo? The morgue.
Yeah, the morgue. Yeah, morgue is not functional.
But you cannot understand it if you don't live there. But if you see now that you're visually being shown, this is it. So the change is there.
And I think the biggest fear when the current establishment are seeing what Morara is doing is that he's been moving county to county, and at some point he's now establishing other smaller Moraras.
Yes.
In all these spaces.
That's another
there are people
thing.
who are doing audits in their own spaces.
Yes.
In Kilifi, in Sijui. So he's establishing other Moraras. So we'll at some point have Moraras in all the 290 constituencies.
Yes.
We'll have Moraras there. And now it becomes much more difficult to steal, because in whatever corner you're stealing of Wargadud or of Mugoiri, there is a Morara there who will expose you. And now once you get exposed, now other people, not only the local people know, now other people know this is how the money is being stolen. This is the company that got the contract. It belongs to politician A and B. Then unasalimiwa. Hapo.
Alafu hata sisalimiwa, unaambiwa ukiendelea sawa, waendelea tu.
Yeah.
Lakini haurudi.
Exactly.
Right? And these guys are even much braver. You remember when we had the Akina Kiptum and them, and when we watched the souls, may they rest in peace, that were being taken out live and direct. Because that's another thing. These guys have become brazen. Live. They have become brazen in taking people out.
Yes.
Killing people, kidnapping. They have become brazen.
Yeah.
But the more they do that, the more the citizenry, the more Wanjiko becomes braver.
And I think also what they're not understanding is that with all these abductions and all these killings, it's not stopping people.
It's not, in fact, if in anything,
it's emboldening
more people.
It's emboldening more people. And I think this is the part that's confusing them, because kawaida, these scare tactics would get people to withdraw, would get people to step back. But that's not happening. These Gen Zs, you're not telling them nothing. Ati tulimwabduct mtu, so ati uogope na it's not happening.
Because even like when Morara was arrested, you could say.
Yeah.
Ile story vile kwa natuambia is like when they saw that he's being carried vile walingia kwa gari and they're fighting.
By the way, when Morara was arrested, so much has happened this week that we never even had a chance to talk about that. when Morara was arrested, there was a mob on both X and another one on TikTok.
Yes.
That was giving live updates. They were following.
Yes.
They were following the car and they were
Was
mobilizing.
it his driver or one of the security guys?
The- waliingia
It
gari
was
kwa haraka.
everything. The
Yes.
family, the people around him.
Yes.
So they mobilized
Yes.
other cars. They mobilized boda bodas and people just showed up and they mobilized money. Kama kuna mtu boda anataka mafuta, ongea na huyu hapo utapatiwa mafuta. So now like me, I was listening to TikTok, I could not believe. They were like, oh, ndo hiyo gari imefika, zikuna gari tatu. Zime divert. We fuata hiyo, mi nitafuata hii na mi nitafuata hii. So they were following all the cars. You know those diversionary tactics they do?
Yes.
So those guys were there from the beginning. They were like, okay, ndo huyo ametolewa kwa gari, ameingia na umtata. Like they were doing, this was for a period of about, like 5-6 hours, and it was deep in the night in Kenya. And I was like, man, I have never seen something
And
like
those guys,
this.
and those guys that said tutaka hapa mpaka asubuhi.
I know. So if they were trying to disappear him, they must have changed their minds, because this thing. And then nani alikuwa anaingia kwa hiyo live stream, anaitwaje, Dennis Itumbi. Alikuwa anaingia kwa live stream, anaambiwa tumekuona wewe, toka kabla.
Oh really?
Yes.
Aliingia?
Yeah, alikuwa anaingia kwa hiyo live stream ya TikTok. The TikTok one, me I was trying to keep up with both TikTok and X, but your TikTok was more exciting. And the TikTok one, people were actually on video. People are not even hiding anymore.
No.
Yeah, people are not hiding
Like,
anymore.
you know what? Again, and the change has been so dramatic, has been so. I'm gonna say 180.
They were not prepared for it. No prepared for it.
Again, even like they don't know what to do, because they're thinking the earlier tactics of suppression are not working.
They're not working. I think the biggest mistake political parties made, these major political parties, is not having a proper youth wing. They never had a proper youth wing. They would get younger people, pay them. All these young people who've gotten to parliament, most of them very useless. Very useless. Like they can't stand on their own. They're there, they've been paid, they will just do what they're told to do. So the youth is not properly represented in parliament. Think about uyu I don't know, ni ex-wife wa Samido, ama ni wife, ama ni second wife. What's her name? Karen Nyam. I mean, seriously, how is she representing? How is she supposed to be representing the youth? Like, seriously, how did she even make it to be considered like uyu ndo tumeona is
woman, and is it nominated rep or whatever?
Whatever, she's a nominated senator.
Yeah.
However, there's exceptions, like the lady, the blind lady.
Yes,
I'm forgetting her name.
The singer.
Asige, yes. Something Asige. I
Crystal.
Yeah, Crystal
Crystal,
Asige.
yes.
Amazing. Like Uyo Apo, that's an exception. And those are some of the people who I think these political formations are coming. They should now start sieving, because at some point they will need some people who are experienced. And I think you have people like Okiya Omtata. There's people like Crystal Asige who've proven, who've shown that they are with the people from the beginning. So I think it's also important to identify who those people are.
Yes.
Now when we get to that point when they want to run. No, Kasmuel doesn't have experience. Kasmuel hana experience. We're talking about politicians.
Already inside, yes.
Politicians who are already inside. Like Okiya Omtata, now Crystal Asige, and Onyonka, there's still some mixed feelings about him, although he's been injecting seriously.
Let me tell you.
In the past few months. He's been seriously
been injecting heavy.
Yes.
Naweza muingisha kwa hiyo.
Yeah.
The person who is silent, I don't know. Na Sifuna J.
No, Sifuna since the interview.
He has to play a very...
He's in a very delicate position. Since the interview, kuna vile he
has been injecting during the career.
He's been injecting during the hearings.
Yes,
but
he's not really...
party line.
He's not a party line.
Yeah, he's not really coming out and,
Kuna kitu pale.
Yeah, okay. Sawa. Wacha tusome some comments hapa. Some comments have been coming in thick and fast while we were talking hapa. Wow, there were so many comments that were coming through. People were very active. Hapa Lauren Kagwe anasema Morara alijaribu lakini kuteswa nayo. I think wengi are afraid. Brown Sugar anasema I all remember siku za Kajwang and Mwenje fights. I think you're talking about the late Otieno Kajwang. The Kajwang senior. Yeah. And then let me see. Lauren Kagwe again says wakati wa Moi tulikuwa na MySpace na stories za cyber cafe lol pekee. Sasa hii kuna internet, social media, smartphones, watu wamechanuka. Kulikuwa na MySpace kweli time ya Moi? I don't know.
No, MySpace came later.
Yeah, MySpace. But by the time I came to the US in 2003, 2004, MySpace ilikuwako US, but I don't know that MySpace ilikuwako Kenya because hizo zilikuwa siku za cyber cafe. Hata YouTube ulikuwa uwezi kunini. Yeah, in fact hata kulikuwa hata hakuna Gmail, ilikuwa tu ni Yahoo na Hotmail. And then hapa
na nini ilikuwa itokaje ile ya Kenya ile
America Online.
No, wananchi. Ilikuwa ni wananchi online.
Kulikuwa na Earthscape.
Yeah.
Was it Earthscape?
Netscape.
No, there was a Kenyan name. What was the name of it?
Okay. Aya, sasa acha tuendelee na hizi comments. Hapa Slea anauliza when Kajwang beat Mwenje, or was it the other way around? And then let me see. Slea anasema I will never forget Bullseye or some news program did a funny video on it. And then hapa Steven Jeje anasema change iko na to register kwa INJECT party Kitawaramba. I have seen some people say hii ya Morara ni moto ya gazeti, but I want to differ. Guys are suffering na kuna watu wako na choppers eating your tax money bure kabisa. And then Brown Sugar anasema in Kenya you do have to be a certain party for you to vote for it, ama you can vote for any candidate despite being affiliated to any party. I voted for Kibaki siku ya Moi must go, but I don't remember if I was in any party. No, the general election you can vote for anyone. You don't have to be in any particular party. I think it's a party primaries in Kenya
or whatever,
they are such a mess.
Or whatever.
The nominations are such a mess. So I don't even know what to say about them. And then hapa Steven Jeje anasema when you lose your fear they lose their power. And then Lauren Kagwa anasema Gen Z have Mau spirit, is still very active. Slay anasema it was so wild but they stood by Morara and Omtata pledged to stay there till morning with a few other people. Washeke anasema Mika amekuwa mpenzi mtazamaji, watu wa 3am wamelemewa. So Mika tupatia chance Mika azungumze.
Sasa jini melemewa na nini?
Yeah, and then Brown Sugar anasema that Mayai guy, that's Itumbi, he was chased kwa TikTok. And then let me see what else is here. Lauren anasema Ali Karenyamu ni side chick ama homreka ukipenda. She's representing herself, don't upgrade her. And then Castro Otieno anasema Kasamuel finished his political career today, he is done. And then Slay anasema after I finished high school there was MySpace na sisemi which year. And then Lauren anasema basi kulikuwa na simu ya jamii, my timeline is off hapo. Okay, sawa. And then hapo YouTube hapa kuna Ayama ni EJ anasema Gen Z were coming to Morara's rescue, that's why it had to end abruptly in Bomas. Angry youths were mobilizing. So yeah, so you know, like that's just where we currently are. I also want to remind the listeners that tonight the show is brought to you courtesy of money transfer app Lemfi. The OneMic Show is offering a whole $30 for the first $100 sent on your first transaction. So download the app on the links that you see both on the YouTube live stream and on the Facebook live stream. The link is pinned. It goes straight. If not, if you download directly, just use the code OneMic and send this to your family, send this to your friends, send this to your exes, send this to your future ex-wife, send it to everyone.
Your future husbands.
Yeah, your future husbands.
Future ex-husbands.
Yeah, future husbands.
Unaweza tumia Morara na hii.
Unaweza tumia Morara na hii.
Inject.
You can inject $100 to Morara and you get $30 back.
Yes.
So unaona hapo umesaidia. So click on the link pinned in the comments and feel free to share. Na ukidownload, type downloaded. So asanteni sana, you know, like we're in this trial partnership with Lemfi, so I hope hamtatuangusha. Mudownload hata kama utatuma leo.
Just download. Na weka code yetu.
Download, sign in, weka code yetu. You know, like just that. Hata kama utatuma right away, download, sign in, weka code, and mambo itakuwa sawa. Now, as we get to wrap up, someone asked about, you know, like the Kenyan police in Haiti, Kenya's international reputation, because what's happening in Kenya is no longer staying in Kenya. These are not the days for KBC.
No.
It's being watched in other parts of the world, you know, like, because I'm getting messages from my friends from other countries and they're asking me, hey, what's going on in Kenya? Is everything okay? So people are watching what's currently happening. And on a global stage, we also have Ruto, who's kind of in bed with the Biden administration because they've been quite soft on him because he's doing his bidding. So what do you guys think? Where does Kenya currently stand internationally? And is there a way in which, as diasporans, we can inject to go and salimia all these organizations here in America who are working with Ruto, despite Ruto doing the shenanigans he's doing in Kenya? Sijui nianze na wewe ama acha tuanze na Mika hii hapa. Mika watu walikuwa anasema ati umekuwa mpenzi mtazamaji ama mpenzi mchangiaji. Mika
at 3 a.m.
Mika,
because let me tell you something. Remember last week when we were doing the show and I said I was really excited when during the Unga, when Ruto started addressing the Unga people walked away.
Yes.
A lot of people might look at it and don't think, or a lot of people didn't see that, but that was actually something that the Kenyan youth will be proud about. You literally had a mini demonstration that was supported by the rest of the world when they walked away from him. Ruto, in the previous Unga, was among the
darlings.
best speakers. They were the darlings of that conversation. On his first year of the darling or not, he was invited everywhere. He built a very good rapport, and everybody was excited about this young Kenyan president because he was the darling of everybody. Since those Gen Z protests, we haven't seen that. Imeisha. And we saw the Unga was basically the proof of people like, yeah, you're just full of shit. You're not telling us anything. And they walked away. And that basically explains exactly where we are right now as a country. It shows to us that with the continuance of this, people are watching us and we shouldn't relate. Now, Kenya's reputation, I don't think Kenya has a bad reputation. I think the president has a bad reputation. He's trying to clean it up. But I believe that people are looking at Kenyans, the people in Kenya, and how they're fighting and trying to work everything. And they're proud of you. And they're supporting you. Don't relent on this. Back to you.
So it's quite interesting, you know, like especially the space that we live in. And I think, you know, like within Morara's philosophy that we have to continue injecting and we have to continue, you know, like doing this civic education. Part of the civic education for people in the diaspora, especially people in the US, is that we are the only Kenyans. Out of the 55 million Kenyans in the world, we are the few Kenyans, especially those of us who are here in the DMV. We are the few Kenyans who are right, you know, like next door to these organizations that are pushing some of these bad laws that we have. Some of these finance bills, they're coming from the International Monetary Fund. Some of these crazy laws that are being passed in Kenya, they're coming from American entities that's pushing African presidents to do certain things.
Yeah.
And that's why you see that America has been, you know, like very soft and even very encouraging of President Ruto. So we have to figure out a way of making these agencies aware that we are watching you. Because one thing America does not like is erambasment. They do not like being erambast at all.
Like an answer.
Wanaogopa. Yeah. And the good thing with America, you could be friends with them, you could be working with them, wakiona aibu imefika certain level, wanakuruka kipetero.
Live and direct.
And I think that's where we need to push Ruto, because you see his arrogance. He was so arrogant because he's also getting this protection. And another thing I will remind Kenyans, we are going towards an election here in the US. Now America is always talking, and you'll hear about this. America will always talk about, oh, you know, there's these foreign countries who are trying to interfere in American elections. The Iranians, the Chinese, the Russians. But America is the biggest propagator of interfering in other people's elections. They do it. They've interfered in multiple elections. And don't be surprised if that's one of the trump cards they're giving Ruto and telling him, where, you know, like, you hold whatever we're asking you to do. And then come 2027, we got you. We have experience in this. We know how to do this, you know. And America is very good, especially at sending, you know, like misinformation campaigns, nanini. They're very good at doing that. So I know they start complaining when other people do it to the Americans. But yeah, so I think we have to be vigilant and we have to be aware of that. Uno, what do you think? How is Kenya's international reputation looking like at the moment?
I think, you know, there's always been this cry from very many Pan-Africans about a realization. Awaken. I'm Kenny. You know, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of, I mean, you know, we can be self-sustaining or whatever. And for the longest time, it just used to be mdomo tu.
Yeah, mdomo bagi.
Right?
Yeah.
But for me, you know, there is an awakening. The Senegalese president.
Yeah, Faye.
Comes in, actually, grassroots.
Mashinani. Yes.
What's going on right now in Kenya is an indicator of, as Mika called it, punda imechoka. And now it's not about tribal kingpins. It's the young people, the Gen Zs, the millennials. Gen Zs are the ones who have given millennials and everyone else mdomo. You know, wamepeana kifua. So it is in good standing that there is a realization and a recognition that it's just the other day, not many Kenyans ever knew that we have got minerals.
Yeah. Now it's coming out. It's coming out.
And it is coming out because, one, in fact, the person who... Did you watch the interview with Ogada?
Yeah, Ogada, yeah. They were talking about the chemicals used to manufacture Levi jeans.
Levi jeans.
Yeah, inatoka Kenya.
Well,
it's one of the few places where those chemicals
come from. And
they've
made you 10 billion. They just gave, 15 million?
Man.
But the people who are Kulain, the same pigs.
Lingugi, Mordecai
Ogada. Yeah. And it is because of... It's because of me watching the Onyonka interview. When I talk about minerals, you know, like, yeah, or you had Ogada here, I'm like, nikarudi tena. There's an awakening that's going on. And the civic education that is traversing the country.
It's on steroids. Serious steroids.
And that in itself, because, you know, again, outside, I think sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't care about outside because, like I always say, I know you guys have a saying, but in Kikuyu we say, Gemishu magana moshie. Charity begins at home.
Yeah.
And as Morara says, uko ni kwetu.
We should build things for ourselves
first.
Before we start thinking of tourists and other people.
We've got families. We've our, you know, our shows. Some of us, our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our nephews. Some of us, some kids are there. Tupende tuzipende, uko ni kwetu. Na tuwezi kahama.
Okay, sawa. Omosh Fire. Where do you think Kenya's international reputation is right now as we wrap up?
I'll just throw in what OneMic was trying to say. Kenya ni home. Yeah. But international reputation, I think we're tops. In terms of, when I'm saying tops, I'm saying that the Gen Z revolution the Gen Z revolution, you know, kind of like the Arab Spring. It's now very, very evident. It's on people's lips. It's on their mouth. It's on their tongues. They're talking about it. They're watching Kenya, and they're watching Kenya with hawk eyes. Just also because of where Kenya is strategically, economically, financial, all of those things, you know, and this Haiti thing, you, of course, didn't help. Then, you know, you go back, if somebody has been keeping track, even with, say, like the war that has been Ukraine, Russia, and you go back, the person who stood up to speak about it at the UN was a Kenyan ambassador. You know, so, you know, we've had little things here and there that are being thrown that, you know, and then we had your Kenyan president coming and having a state visit in the US and so on and so forth. Then a couple of months later, there's an uprising in the country and people are getting killed. So internationally, folks are now watching. They're looking, they're seeing, acknowledging, and things on the ground are working. I mean, literally, you know, you co-workers will even ask you, hey, what's going on with Kenya? You guys, those kids are going crazy, or, you know, and this is now assuming now you're talking to a co-worker who's either maybe Indian or is from another African country, because they're seeing all the things that they could not do, that they are going through in their places where they come from, but you guys are actually in the process of doing something. So from that perspective, in terms of an uprising, people are watching, people are seeing it, and it may not bode as well for the current sitting president, because, you know, he's got this persona outside, or this image that he had been working on for a very long time, since he was deputy.
Yeah, he had tried to create a Pan-African image.
I'm this and that and blah, 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 and all of that, and has washed himself up, for not forgetting that in, when was it? When was Bensouda and ICC?
Bensouda and ICC, this was before 2000, before 2012.
Correct. So we're talking slightly 10 years, slightly over 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're safi kama nini?
Safi kama pamba.
How?
Mweupe kama pamba.
How?
Yeah.
If we even go back and we start looking back at this guy, what's his name? The Lucien something, the guy who was found in Paris, who was part
Felicien
of...
Kabuga.
There you
Felicien
go.
Kabuga,
Yes,
the guy
remember,
from Rwanda, yeah.
Where was he being hidden?
He was in Kenya, yeah.
And
he
who
was in
hid
Kenya?
him?
He was in Kenya.
And who hid him?
I think it was during Kibaki's regime.
Who was the chap who hid him?
You tell us, maybe...
that story, chaps don't want to talk about it, but it's this chap who's sitting as your president.
Oh, damn. Okay,
so,
that's a new story.
And some of these guys who have even lived in Kenya as political, not as political refugees.
Yeah.
You know, the guy Kinagarang, Sijui Nini, all of that. Who are the chaps who have been sitting there and protecting them and doing whatever? We have an influx of chaps in from South Sudan in Kenya.
Yeah.
Why are they in Kenya? All those kids are of all those chaps who are in
all
power,
the rich
right?
people. Of course,
and
we have refugees, but we also
those
have
guys
kids.
those guys are not refugees.
Yeah, we have
those
kids
guys,
of the rich people.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all in Nairobi.
And they're all protected. And those guys always carry and have police protection, and they do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Which they get away with. So all I'm saying is that this guy, the bullseye is on his, or should I say magnifying glass is on him, bullseye is on him, and he needs to figure this out real quick. But internationally, folks are watching. And the movement that the Gen Zs are on, the young ones that have started this thing is going. And at the rate that it's going, very soon, it will have overtaken anybody who even wants to call it a movement. It will have gone.
Okay. All right. Now, before tufikie wahenga, I want to remind the listeners that tonight's show is brought to you courtesy of money transfer app Lemfi. The OneMic Show, of course, is offering $30 for the first $100 sent on your first $100. So make sure you send that. Kuna mtu tayari ametuma. You know, I was just looking and monitoring that. So yeah, but even if you're not ready to send, just download the app, sign in, and that's enough. Whenever you're ready, you'll send. Remember, your first $100, if you use the code OneMic, or if you use the link on YouTube or Facebook, you will get that $100. Now, Slayapa is saying he's signing a petition effective. We sign petitions, and I think signed one a week ago too for these organizations to stop interfering. Well, if many enough people sign a petition, I think if they get to a certain number, the White House has to respond. If they get to a certain number, and I can't remember what it is, that's something you can Google and check. It's very difficult sometimes to reach those numbers. And then hapa Lauren Kagwi says, sasa basi watu wa DMV fanyeni ile kitu. He has backup from Mzee Sleepy J. I wonder who that is. And then Castroteno anasema America is soft because they are trying to reduce Chinese influence in Kenya. They don't want to lose strategic partner. Uhuru already scared them with turning east. And then Lauren Kagwe says, sisi tuko Texas, we are dealing with my rednecks. So DMV, saidia diaspora. Okay, sawa. And then I can also see, like what were YouTube P, I think I read all the YouTube comments. Uno Mike.
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up. Mika Och!
I want to say thank you to all our listeners. Thank you for wapenzi wa changiaji, and thank you for everybody for joining today's show. And as you see, or as we just see that our country needs us more now than any other time. And as much as you say Morara and everybody else is doing civic education starts with you. You've lived in a democratic state. You've seen how policies, when enacted, can work. Would you like to be able to have the kind of life you're having here back home without paying extra for it, and making it in a way that everybody back home is given the same opportunities? The same way America is a land whereby you can come from bankruptcy and become a billionaire. Why can't we make Kenya the same way? The American dream is about your hard work, your determination, and you'll achieve what you want. Why can't we make home the same way? So it starts with us. The way of change is in the country. We can use that way of change of educating our people so that when they go to elections, they know what to do, they know how to do it, and they know how to take care of themselves. All in all, there will never be violence in politics. I hope Morara feels better today. I hope those who attacked him get arrested. And I want to end this by saying that I hope you guys are checking your voter registries and you're ready to vote. And I'll tell you who to vote. Don't vote for that orange guy. Black Republican in Trump parties.
Wacha wakipate.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a weekend. Take care of yourselves. I know there's a lot of sports, there's a lot of drinking, it's cold. Watu wanakunywa kwa nyumba, lakini ile hani to do list ukitumwa kama ulikuwa umeonja. Kama huwezi tembea, tumia Instacart ama ngoja on Monday. Rudi to home late on Monday. Don't risk it. Don't drink and drive. Take care of yourselves. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
To our listeners, asanteni, and to our sponsors, Lemfi, asanteni. Now I think I can get 30% on my return. Hapo kwa first download and CG. I don't know. Then what do? I send $100 the first time. Then I get 30 on top. This is a good deal. But yeah, I digress. Kenya is burning. And I'm not saying literally, but there's a rage, there's a fire. And the only way this thing is going to be put out is by good governance, correct leaders, and making sure that we have a Kenya that is going to stay upstanding for tomorrow's generation. And guess what? Tomorrow's generation have already stood up and said that what we see now is not what we want. Mm-hmm. It's up to us out here. We are the diaspora. We have a voice. We have a voice financially. We have a voice as keyboard warriors. We have a voice that we can use and not have to look over our backs and shoulders, because if we say something, we'll be disappeared. We can make a change. You are the change that you want the country to be. So take it upon yourself and inject, agitate, write somebody, even here, write into your congressman and all of that. There's committees that these guys sit on that affect a lot of things. And by the way, Ali, the trade agreement, they're very, very active on that right now. There's even people who are here who are working on that trade agreement as we speak, and come in and out, going back and forth on that trade agreement. Lawyers, so on and so forth, Kenyans who are trying to get this trade agreement lined up. And of course, it's going to line some pockets, and they're going to do it. Whether it's going to be done in this term of a JB or not, that's still out there. But they are actively, right now, very actively doing it. I can tell you because I know folks. So I'm just saying that we also have to consider all of these things as what to our diaspora. You want to know what's going on with your country, and you're not throwing money, you're putting in money, you're investing in your country, in your people, helping them, all of that. That types of money that we are putting in, that we are sending, is unheard of. Kenya itself they don't have the type of money that we send. So we definitely have to do something and make sure that we have the correct governance that allows that money not to be siphoned off. Imagine if we came together with all that money and we started building our own businesses. The money we are sending now.
Yes.
Just imagine we did that and we said, okay, for 6 months, we're not going to send any money. It's going to be our chums that we're going to put in there for a business or for something. Mind-boggling is all I'm saying. So think of it that way. Santeni Lemfai, tuonane wiki ijao, na mafans, asanteni tena.
All right, asante sana DJ Mosh Fire. DJ Mosh Fire is going to be on the decks for a few minutes after the show, so mngoja hapo msitoke. I want to thank all the listeners. I want to thank Lemfai for sponsoring tonight's show. Just remember, click on the link, download the app, sign in. If you're ready to send that $100 and get a 30% return instantly, upate $30 hapo juu, well and good. You'll be helping us. You'll also be helping yourself. So I really appreciate you engaging us in all this Friday. Like Omosh also said, Kenya is burning. Like there's no other way to put it. Kenya is burning, and we need to make sure that we get something good out of this. A better Kenya, even for you in the diaspora, will be a better America for you, because you'll start sending less money. A lot of money that we send goes to education, goes to medical bill, other kinds of healthcare, and now even goes towards living expenses. All this money is money that could be staying in your pocket, and you could be doing something else. I mean, right now, you can use Lemfi to send your money. It has a better rate than most other apps. But yeah, by a better Kenya means a better America for Kenyans living in America. Because I told you, I know people who send up to 30%, up to 50% of their income to Kenya just to help their families. And there are people in Kenya who are now surviving on that. And that also makes it very difficult for us over here. Again, we're also wishing Morara all the best. I hope he gets well soon. We are hoping to have him back on the show. He was supposed to be on the show tonight for part 2. But, the paid goons decided otherwise. And I think this is also an opportunity for them to reassess their security, especially while attending events like those. And that's why you need to keep injecting to that, to the M-Pesa number and to the PayPal and to the account information that he has published on all his pages. You need to keep injecting so that they have money to do all this. And I want to remind the listeners, yeyote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile 1-800 teule. Operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu. Na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule wa Masai. Because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, and Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Aidan, Daddy loves you. Njeri, Daddy loves you. Nemo, Daddy loves you. Until next week, be blessed.